Participation.
And
participation.
And I
listened to a little of that when I was in Maine, by the way. I heard of that, you know.
And I left thinking, okay, well, that's over. And then all week long I heard things like, are you going to divide us in half today, Chuck? So they do listen, and they do enjoy correcting it. Yes, they were participating in my divisive.
I'm honored for anybody that's listening.
I actually ran into someone who had listened to me on the radio at City Hall when we went over for the Veterans Council. They were doing this thing on the Iraq-Afghanistan Memorial, and I talked a little bit there. And afterwards, a couple of people said, "Hey, I've heard you on the radio before." So I thought that was pretty cool.
Are you part of any, because you're on Clear Channel, right? This is Clear. Do they give you any statistics as far as viewer? Or
no, matter of fact, I think that the place that used to analyze listenership went out of business.
Oh,
Arbitron.
Right.
I think they went out of business. So I don't know how. I remember when you were a little kid, and I used to think that they had a meter. Like they must have a meter back there, and the meter goes up every time somebody's listening. And what it used to be, if Arbitron is still in business, they used to send out booklets. The bad news is, if one season they don't send any booklets to Vero Beach, it would say nobody listens.
Right.
And then if one listens, and that's just like we get one phone call. No. You get one phone call that represents at least like 1,500 other people out there that are listening, because most people, 99.9% of the people, will never call a radio show.
Yeah.
Most people listening right now, I could say, "Hey, I'm going to give away a $100 gift certificate to CJ Cannons."
Yeah. Well, somebody will call. But what is the movie with the "You like me, you really like me," where the person was faking the ratings, and then he found out.
I thought that was Sally Fields.
That was Sally Fields when she accepted the Academy Award.
No, there was a movie about...
you like me. You really like me.
Sally Fields might have done that.
Was
that first. But
was that
good? Did I do that good?
Maybe somebody just like her.
I know there's a movie. I think I remember there being a movie where they're faking the ratings for the show to try to make it successful, and then they find out that people actually like it. And they're like so shocked that they liked it because they were faking the ratings.
Right.
And because you never know, that could happen. I think you fake it till you make it.
Well,
yeah.
Part of it, right?
Well, when I was first on the radio 23 years
ago, calm down there, street man.
Who?
I said, calm down over there, street man.
Yeah, street man.
I don't know,
when I was first on the radio years ago, I was very nervous. I remember, and my first show was after Rush Limbaugh, 3:00 in the afternoon. And I remember some lady called in and told the manager, the top dog over there, he says, "Hey, get him off the air. He doesn't know what he's doing." And I realized that they don't want you got to be defined. You have to be confident. Fake it till you make it, because they want somebody to be in charge. They don't want somebody that's diffident or backward, or as Rush said in an article he was interviewed in the New York Times, said they don't want hand clingers. Because I was always kind of going, well, I'm a little further left, which is true. That's my problem. I'm a little further left, and I'm a lot further right, but I'm somewhere in the middle, and so I'm kind of like, well, I gotta be me. But they don't want that. They want somebody. Bernie.
It's the problem with our society, honestly, because unfortunately, you either become part of the machine or you fight the machine. But the machine is...
What machine?
The machine is, let's have these polarized camps, and we just have characterized versions of real people. Not real people. Yeah. That's not... I hope that's not Rush Limbaugh. That's his characterization of something that he can sell. And we're buying it, and we're all the
we're all getting the miserable for it. And now, and I don't know, like we're so divided. I don't like it.
There was a scene in Howard Stern's Private Parts movie,
great movie,
that I thought was fantastic to go along with what you're saying. When they were trying to get him off the air at WNBC,
they
had a corporate meeting, and they said, "Well, how many people listen to him?" And the guy said, "Well, according to the statistics, the ones who like him listen to him 10 minutes a day." They're like, "Okay, well, that's not bad. But how about the people that don't like him?" And they said, "Well, they listen to him 20 minutes a day."
And they said, "Why?" And they said,
because they never knew what he was going to say next.
Yeah.
And I hated him, but they were going to listen.
That was the greatest compliment I got in this town. I was over at an Italian restaurant on the beach, and this older couple who were very prosperous in the Grove business and stuff here said, "Oh, the mayor, we listened to your show." They didn't talk loud. This is just for entertainment value, folks. "Oh, Mr. Mayor, we listen to your show every day." Just in case those people are listening.
Yeah.
They didn't talk like that. They were very nice people, very upscale. But anyway, this is just entertainment value.
Do I have a voice when I'm not around?
Yeah.
Okay,
never mind. This is Chuck. This is Chuck.
See, I thought it was going to be a
It's
sound.
the American life of Chuck. And
Hey, that sounds just like him.
It does.
That's actually pretty
and
good.
you know, Rhett, I really, I know this thing's doesn't sound like Rhett.
Just like him.
Yes, it does.
Exactly
Yes,
him.
it does.
Yes, it does.
Now listen, Rhett. My mom's gonna get mad if you keep doing that.
I thought it was just going to be a cricket sound voice.
Yeah.
Somehow you were just going to, the whole thing is just going to be the sound of crickets.
So, what were we talking about?
We're talking about this old couple who.
They were at the Italian
They're saying,
restaurant,
"Rhett,
and they go,
Rhett."
"Rhett, and we listen to your show." It's just like Chuck Cannon. Hey, Rhett, I know we sound like Chuck Cannon, but we listen to your show every day. So anyway, thank you very much. I sit down, we eat dinner. Now I'm getting up to leave before they do. So I said, "Very nice to meet you folks. Hey, come on, you don't really listen every day, do you?" And every day. You know, I don't know. And she said, "Oh, yes, of course we do. Everybody does." I said, "Well, why do you think?" "Well, it's the reason we all listen, because we don't know what you're going to say next, or who you're going to have on next."
Yeah.
So,
I call it the Rhett roller coaster to people.
Maybe they like that.
And describe
They
what
don't
it's
know.
like to be on the Rhett radio show.
Oh, yeah.
I say you never know what's coming. You just got to ride it like a roller coaster.
So were you being critical, or were they being critical, or how did this come about?
Well, I like roller coasters. Some people hate it, but I love roller coasters.
I'm a little paranoid. Do you have people that speak ill about me?
I have people that speak ill about me. Welcome. That's just the way people are.
Yeah, that's true. You too?
Oh, yeah.
People are critical. People are just negative and.
Well,
it depends how you take it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it rolls off. Sometimes it hurts.
Well, it's just like gossip. Well, the scripture. Since we have the pastor in here today, we talk about the scripture here. It says that gossip murders the character of somebody, and it does. I mean, it's just like these. I think about a few years ago when that girl said that this guy had been sexually did something with her or something, and it was, as far as I know, it was this black man in South Florida. He goes to jail. He's been in jail 3 years. He's convicted. Then she's up on the stand again for a new guy. And then she breaks down crying, saying this guy really didn't do anything. And matter of fact, the guy in jail, he didn't do anything. It ruined his life.
Yes.
I mean,
happens live.
I mean, it's so bad out there that if somebody accused me of doing something wrong, I might doubt myself. You know what I'm saying? Because once you cast an aspersion on somebody's character, there's going to be one eyebrow up when he goes walking down the street. I wonder if he really is. Like there was somebody falsely accused a few years ago here of pornography. A very well-known guy in town, and I got to tell you something. There are still people probably think that guy's into child pornography. When it came out, they caught the guys that did it. The one guy confessed they did it because they didn't like somebody who was formerly in the priesthood, and they were doing it because they were bitter. Did you know about that, by the way?
No.
You weren't around then, maybe. No.
Isn't that Trump's MO that when he tags somebody that it automatically starts sticking, even though, he was lying, Ted or Little Marco, he would put a tag on him.
Well, I will say this, that after what happened with Marco, I don't like him. I know, but I totally thought he was going to be the president. I totally like him. Now when I see Marco, I saw a picture of him the other day sitting next to Al Franken. Anyway, in the Senate, and I was like...
That's the proper response when Al Franken's name is mentioned.
I met him,
It's Al Franken. Ha! You just go on.
I met him a few years ago. Yeah, I was actually in a bookstore yesterday reading some of his new books.
I was going to say, he just came out with
The Greatness of Al Franken, the great Senator Al Franken by Al Franken. So he does have a decent sense of humor. He really does.
He's a funny guy.
But he's also an extremely radical left guy.
Well, and I think that he actually authentically believes what he says. He gives me that impression. Mm-hmm. But he's so far to the left, you have to be really careful, because with his humor and wit, it's really easy just to believe what he's saying when it's like, wait a second, you take this out of the humor and you realize he's slanting it hugely.
Oh, yeah.
He's a huge, he just slants everything.
He says, I like Trump better than everyone else in the Senate, and I hate him. But
that might not be a slant, actually.
That sounds very divisive to me. If you,
it is divisive.
Yes.
Well, guess who I was?
I don't think
guess who I was in the
process.
I was away. You guys never even said on the air, "Hey, like welcome back, like we missed you." None of that.
Oh, you were here last week.
You didn't lie. You could at least lie.
You were talking about prime rib.
We said a lot on the air last Monday. How much we missed you.
The burn. I was right there with the burn.
Were you?
Yeah.
You were with the
Are we talking about a cooking or Sanders?
No, it's Bernie Sanders. Okay. Now here, let's see. Let's talk about being critical. Mm-hmm. Now, Rudy Giuliani was on my show. We did an interview via telephone. Found out that the microphone was corrupt. I had to call him back, and I asked him, please, could we redo the show? Then I was in line with a bunch of people in South Florida who had each donated $5,000. That's your legal limit or whatever. Mm. So I'm in line with this. He doesn't know that's the Rhett Palmer that he spoke with on the telephone. So they come up. He grabs, does this with everybody. He grabs your hand. Boy, does he have the smile. He must have paid a lot for that smile because, you know, the picture made me look so bad that I don't show it to anybody. But he looked great because he just has $1 million smile. Anyway, so he pulls my hand. He pulls me over. Shot. He smiles. And he pushes you away. He never looked at me, and now, for all he knew, I was a $5,000, and if I had my wife there, it would have been a $10,000 gift. He didn't say, thank you, good evening, great to see you here, it's just going through, you know, you're going to get your, and it's like, he lost even though Rudy Giuliani became a hero to me on 911, and he still is my hero, and even though he turned around New York City, and he is my hero, he lost my vote that night because of that. So here's Sanders. So I pull up. Sanders is at the end of the parade. I'm at the end of the parade. And Sanders, and this guy comes running over to him to shake his hand. Remember, I'm in Vermont, and I'm in Warren, Vermont. If anybody knows, that parade there, I mean, they had men in diapers, and they're talking about brand new, what do you call those oils that people use during, you know, lubricants. They had signs about lubricants. The whole parade was like that. Nothing was normal in it, okay? And they had an effigy of Trump's head being taken off anyway. So there was real liberal. So this guy comes running up to him, walking very quickly, and shakes Bernie's hand. Bernie puts out his hand, shakes it, never looks at him, and continues walking. Now this is to the left. The parade's already in. He's out of the parade. He's walking to the left over to this little dirt mound. There is a car to the left, and we find that's the car he's going to get. He got into a little Toyota, by the way. It was not a limousine. Of course, it's very apropos for Bernie. But anyway, so he shakes the guy's hand and walks right on. And that's when I said, now maybe I've judged wrong, because when I meet somebody, and I'm in the Vero Beach Mall, or I don't care where I'm around the world, somebody comes, I listen to your show, Mr. Paul. I stop, I shake their hand, I look them in the eye. Even if I'm in a rush, I could be on the way to pick an ambulance. I go, very nice to meet you. I do have an appointment I have to get to, and I look them in the eye and say, you know, you count. You're an individual, and every individual counts to me. And he's running for the presidency of the United States, and if he doesn't care about the individual. Now, I may have misjudged him, too, because he'd just been in a parade, and I've run into 5 people who saw him. He was even in New York City in the parade. So that guy just flies. When they're doing that, I now realize those politicians, they go to all the parades around the United States.
Do you think that they're just on a different stage? I mean, it's just inundated with handshaking and smiling and photo, and
that's so you got to give them a little leeway.
Can I ask you, did you consciously call Rudy Giuliani Rudely Giuliani?
No.
You said Rudely Giuliani, which I thought was a really funny pun, because you were talking about how he's rude, and Rudely Giuliani. And I thought you were doing the Trump thing of like Crooked Hillary.
You know, just like
Giuliani.
No, that's
who's your hero from Love and Spoonful?
John Sebastian. He's coming back to town, by the way.
I went to a Raider game in Oakland one year. My wife got me tickets, and we went to Raider Nation tailgate party before the game, and it had the cheerleaders, and it had old Raiders there that were signing autographs. So one of the Raiders from the early 2000s, late 90s, was there signing autographs, but he was sitting at a table all by himself. So I go over and I tell my wife I'm going to go get an autograph and say hi to him. I couldn't wait, just like you. And I went over there and I said, hey, how you doing? We're here for the game. We flew in from Florida. And he just stared straight ahead, didn't even look at me. And I said, are you doing autographs? He goes, yeah, do you need an autograph? And I said, yeah. So he signed it, and it was, you couldn't read it. It was a line.
Yeah.
And I said, who do you think is going to win tomorrow? I'm just trying to do it. He just stared straight ahead. He goes, $25. And I said, so I gave him the $25. And while I'm talking to him, he's staring straight ahead, and then he just turned around and started talking to somebody else. Like And it was the loving spoonful thing, like you with Sebastian.
But I've had time to. Well, I've had time to digest these things now.
But my point with that was, just to finish this, was he was just part of that machine.
I know. It's the same with John. I realize now in retro hindsight, I wanted to meet John Sebastian. When I was 15 years of age, or 14, it was my first concert. When my parents divorced and I was sent off to private school, I had a cassette of Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, and the other, I had 2 cassettes. The second one was the Lovin' Spoonful. I know every word, every cool melody.
Cat back then.
Yeah. Do you believe in magic? Anyway, so he and I do an interview on the telephone up in Woodstock, New York, and we get along great. And he comes to town. He walks in the back door behind the stage, and I go, "Hi, it's me." It's like, and I'm like, "Oh, that's son of a baby." Now, in hindsight, I look, the guy had a show to do. Yeah. We'll be back.
It's nice that you do have fair treatment where you will make fun of your own voice too, because the way you just was like, I came up and I went, just like, okay, it's not just your viewers.
So now I know what's wrong with you.
Too.
What's the matter with
Even
you? Raider. Oh, I've been told that before.
Why don't you come into when football season comes in with your garb?
Just trying to keep it interesting.
The guy's like, oh, get this big giant man away from me.
Yeah.
Now I know what's wrong with him.
What's that?
He's a Raider fan. He should come in with his skull and crossbones sometime.
If I come in on a big game day with my face painted, and still going the
yeah, do that, would you? Is that the thing that comes up like this?
Yeah, they have all kinds of
Why don't you do that? Come on. Another thing we have to do, we have to get better cameras in here.
Yeah.
And we got to get high end. We got people now around the United States that are listening. I had one from...
I got a Mercedes Live playing just before the news.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, and then I sent that to me by email.
Remember, discussing business in here, we are on Facebook.
Okay. I didn't know if you were on.
Yeah, we're on.
I'm going to transcribe it, so you'll have it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
It's so nice. Hold on. It's so nice to know I can count on you clearly, Mr. B.
Wallow in it because it's about 4 months before another vacation.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it and soak it in.
He doesn't know this, but I was here 6 months on July 1st, so it's time for a review.
Oh.
Get out of here.
There's your review.
You know, it's funny because people think, like, some celebrity will play a good song and they start to think, oh, they must be a good person, or they spoke to me and meant something in my life, so they matter. The song matters, right? Like, it's not the individual. The individual is just an entertainer. They have a thing that they're good at. You know, that football player, he's good at football.
Right.
That doesn't mean he's good at people.
I understand. That's why I was trying to correlate the fact that he doesn't know anything about me.
Yeah.
I could be just some creep that just came up for an autograph or whatever. But to me, it was a big deal to go out. But he doesn't know all that. It's a big deal for me to fly out there.
Here's what I want to say this. And I will get this out someday in a book or something. It's got to happen now because the end's coming. But anyway, at least here on Earth. But, you know, when you go through life, you know, I don't know about you, but let's say you and you might not be up to this yet, but I think I know you're a good guy, so you'll probably appreciate this. But you go through a lot of people. That's a very labor-intensive business, that restaurant business. And you and I don't know the business. I've had a lot of restaurants that I've worked with. I used to consult restaurants when I had an advertising firm before I was even in the radio business, 30 years ago. Okay. So in that, and he can confirm this. There's a lot of sexual activity behind the scenes. There's stuff. They're dating each other. They're not dating each other. This is going on. There's marijuana being smoked. There's this going on. There's drugs. What
restaurant are you going to?
Rhett,
well, this is what I was told.
Chuck's having a busy day.
Okay, but anyway.
He's doing all these things.
Listen. So anyway, in life, when I was younger, I didn't step on people, but I would step over people.
Okay.
And I'm happy to report that God has slapped me around enough now that it's like, I used to think I was better than fat people. Okay? So God had to say, we're going to make Rhett a little fat here, man. Because, I was skinny, good-looking young guy. And now when a girl could come, she could be like this, I mean, monster. And I look at her, I don't even see it. I look in her eye, hey, how are you? Matter of fact, I may tend to want to connect with her even more because I know she's probably been hurt and put down and stuff. And so anyway, I used to walk over people, get your head. And then you learn, this encounter with you, you don't understand, Mr. Johnson. We're going to do business. We're going to like each other. If we don't, let's just not. In this town even. I don't want to do business with somebody I don't like and they don't like me. It ain't going to happen just for money. It's got to be a connection. Because you realize later on in life, everybody has a starring role. Mr. Morrell was a janitor, old black guy, falling asleep I had a 12-hour shift working as a security guard at a hospital. And I think you did that too, right? So Mr. Morrell would fall asleep on his little Bible. And then we became friends. Oh, child. He said, hey, child, this is what it says in the scriptures here, He talked to me. He was the one who first told me about Jesus, hey, child, And anyway, the point is now he's one of the stars of my life. But even somebody who carries in your luggage, and you think, oh, and when you're younger, I don't know, maybe you guys aren't ever arrogant, but maybe I have been. Maybe I'm an elitist, but I would think, well, I'm better than that dude pulling in my luggage, at the fancy schmancy hotel. I'm in my 20s. Now I've realized everybody's a star. Here's a star. I go to New York City. I go to Waldorf Astoria. This is a true story. I go up, they give me this little Filipino man. The guy must be, I can't say now, I'm in my 60s, but he was like 70 or 80. He was so old that I thought, I should be carrying the luggage. I should be honoring this man of age and white hair. He's carrying my luggage, almost embarrassing to me. Yeah. I get upstairs, and I like people so much now that I'm sitting there saying, how are you? What's your name? We're talking Salamat, because my grandfather used to work in the Philippines building roads. Anyway, so we connect. And I said, when we're getting done here, and we're just chatting away, and finally, he knows it's genuine. People know it's genuine. I said, this bed is supposed to be like a king size. You see the size of me. I said, do you think this? He says, wait there, Mr. Palmer. So he goes downstairs, comes back up, says, follow me. He grabs my luggage and brings me up. Now, this is because I connected with him. He brings me upstairs. You've heard the story before, right? We go into he takes me to Billy Crystal's apartment. I'm in town to see Billy Crystal, actually, on Broadway. But because Billy Crystal's there full time, he now doesn't use the place that he usually rents at Waldorf Astoria for $10,000 a night or whatever it is. He's got a little apartment in New York City because he's doing that whole shtick on his dad. So he takes me into the living room, a dining room, bathroom, bedroom. I mean, this is just, you got to understand, in New York City, this is, a one room goes for, $1,800 a night. This thing is probably $10,000 a night. Anyway, he just said, here, Mr. Palmer, you stay here the whole time you're here. Now because in New York City, that's one thing about New York City you'll find about Trump. I've heard it from people that work for Trump or been on the elevator with Trump. He treats everybody with respect. Did you hear the story the other day, what he did with the cap of the Marine?
No.
Yeah, the cap of the Marine.
You know what? When I was in Manhattan, I thought that I was going to hear a lot of anti-Trump stuff. I was amazed at how many people like Trump up there.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, just in front of Trump Tower and other people just talking good. I thought it'd be riotous up there. And we went to Trump Tower, and there's a lot of guards out there and a lot of security. But
you should be saying this on there. No, you can tell it now if you want. Hold on. Trump, New York. I didn't mean to stop you, Trump. But I want you to repeat it on there. Do you want to wait?
No, whatever, yeah.
Okay.
That's not a bad thing, yeah.
That's a good story. You in New York. I really want to hear about his trip. Did you two talk about his trip to New York last week?
No, we didn't actually, really.
Weren't you just back last Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about movies.
It was a quick 2 hours. We talked about a little bit of everything, but it was...
We starting after this ad?
You got Oliver's yet?
I'm getting good feedback from people on Oliver's Plumbing. People say I'm hoping that all your advertisers will like that. Need more of those.
That's good.
This is John Oliver of Oliver's Plumbing. I went to thank you for making our plumbing business so successful. We've had to add multiple trucks to serve you. Call us at 564-0011. Oliver's Plumbing, where your plumbing gets Oliver attention. For fast service, call
Oliver. He is a good guy.
564-0011. Again, thank you. Okay, you're in your open. I'm turning your mic on now.
Of Chuck. It's the American life of Chuck. Chuck, where's up, Chuck?
What's up, Chuck? Did you ever think that you'd be a part of something like this in your latter years?
Absolutely not. I never thought
Never
in my wildest
dream.
You just got back from New York.
I did, yes.
And
we went up for a graduation. My sister and brother-in-law's first child graduated and got a scholarship to go to West Point.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to be up there for that.
I sang there years ago, you know.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
New
don't
York
burn
was
my
fun.
flag if you want to be my friend. I'll tell you once and I'll tell you again. Don't burn my flag. Anyway.
Is that how you sang?
Yeah. That's how I
Johnny
spoke.
Cash.
I spoke
Johnny
very well.
Cash,
You
yeah.
should hear it.
Yeah, cool. I've heard your patriotic CD.
Oh, that's on there too. We redid it for that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good. It's fun.
So anyway. So New York.
So then we went to, that was
Trump.
on Long Island, then we went to Manhattan for 4 days. And
Where'd you stay?
Just we stayed at a boutique hotel, which was fairly new, called the Quinn, which is right on the edge of the south side of Central Park.
Oh.
And
That's right over near Trump.
it was right around the corner, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Trump things up there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Trump buildings, but the Trump Tower is the main one that they protect. I guess
Yeah.
that's where his apartment. And we went down to One World Trade Center, which was a big part of the trip that I wanted to go, and it was magnificent what they've done. It's great, but it's an emotional roller coaster because the reason it's there keeps hitting you in the face. So you go there and you're like, wow, this is great what they've done, and it's beautiful, and there's fountains, and then you go to the memorial and you're like, oh yeah, well it's here because of this, you know, and then it's so moving, and it's very somber in there. It's.
I had a dream one night that I was falling down to the ground from a big high building in New York, and that day I ran into seeing one of the people who jumped off off one of the buildings down. What is that? A half a mile high? Can you imagine deciding that the heat was so bad? And I saw this guy. They have a video of him, and he's got his navy blue blazer. He's holding it stretched out, thinking maybe I can just get enough wind to cut this back.
It was an unbelievable part of the trip. It was very emotional, and it's very busy with people, you know, that go down there, and to see actual pieces of the building, and they have a reconstructed part of the building where the pilings are, and then they show you where the tower would have gone. It's a fantastic memorial to what happened. Then we went and to the fountain, and they have a room with all the people's pictures up there and a little story about them. It's very moving, but the building itself is magnificent. The One World Trade Center, and you go up and they have an entire floor that you walk around and can look out onto the city. And but yeah, and then the rest of New York was New York. I mean, it's busy, horns honking,
but you went to
sirens
see a play.
Going on. We went to see. I took my wife to see Hamilton.
Now,
which
did it disturb you though the fact of how the cast had treated the Vice President of the United States?
It disturbed me that they took that venue to do it. I don't have a problem with anybody voicing their opinion.
Was inappropriate.
But I don't know that I would have wanted to pay that kind of money to see something and then have somebody interrupt it with their own personal agenda. But I don't have a problem that he said it. I just have a problem, it's just like the Colin Kaepernick kneel down at a football game. I don't have a problem that he has those views or that he wants to express those views. This is America. That's what he should be able to do. But I do have a problem that I turn football on to watch football, and I don't need his views thrown in my face.
If you're a celebrated individual, you can't go out in the public and watch Broadway shows anymore, because next thing you know, they could be picking on... it's gotten out of hand, even with the Trump thing.
Well, that's
everybody's a Monday morning quarterback, in your vernacular.
Right.
You're not the president, just like those judges. Look at all 9 judges, Supreme Court judges, including, who's the Jewish lady there, the real lefty, Ginsburg, voted in favor of Trump. He is the president. He was voted the president. And some little small-town judge in Hawaii or wherever that does not have the right to subjugate, the authority of the presidency of the United States of America. I mean, the reprehensible things that are being done, the effigies of Trump, like that comedian who showed us his head chopped off. If we'd ever done that to Barack Obama, first of all, you would have been said prejudice.
Now, hold on a second. I don't think that it's fair to call her a comedian.
Yeah, right. Well, she's not anymore.
Yeah. Oh, did you see her press conference?
No.
Her press conference.
Another one?
No, it was a while ago, but it was hilarious in the worst way possible. Because
it was a train wreck.
Yeah, she was like, first of all, she was randomly making jokes, and then she was crying, and it's like, okay, I know comedians, and I know people that make jokes when they're uncomfortable. That was a show. And the fact that she's like, he ruined me, he broke me. He didn't do any. You chopped off his head, and you made a picture of you chopping off his head.
They were saying because the Trumps had publicly said, that the son had watched it, the little 10-year-old, and it was traumatizing to him.
You said the Trumps. Yes, not Donald Trump. The Trumps. So one of his kids and his wife made a comment, and the comments weren't that bad. And then she's like, he broke me, I'll never work again.
I think the good-hearted, there's a lot of good-hearted liberals out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think that, the good-hearted liberals agree that this lady was, wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I've said, I've had debates about this, and this is one of the outcomes of we've let ourselves, and even with the past administration has shown even politically that we've let ourselves dilute things to a point where we don't know where a line is anymore. We've let things go, we've accepted things, we've become to a point where even I've talked to people about this, and I feel like a freak now, but when I even talk about things like manners, I have friends of mine that have little kids. And we'll talk about manners and respect and all that. And they're like, well, there's no law against them not calling you Mr. Cannon, or there's no law. I said, well, there isn't a law, but there's an implied action. There's an implied respect that we have grown up with. It's not a law that we have to stand up and do a Pledge of Allegiance, but it's an implied patriotic duty, I think, that we do this. It's an implied, manners aren't laws, but where do you start diluting them?
Manners honor others. But if I'm talking with my mouth full, it's not dishonored. I'm dishonoring you because
that's part of being civilized. Yeah, also, it's part of being part of society.
Stop spitting your food at me. Close your mouth.
So because we've diluted this, and I go back to even what was acceptable during the Obama administration, things were too acceptable because we were trying to accept everything as being okay. Now we have people that are holding up a decapitated head of the President of the United States, and people are defending it, saying, well, what is the big deal? It's not really him. But you've diluted our respect to that office to that point now. And when it gets to that point, where does that end? Where does the next thing?
I was upset with Bill Clinton when he said, I did not have sex with that woman, Rhett.
And I've had people argue.
He had sex in the Oval Office, oral office, and that's not. It brought down. He shouldn't have been doing that.
Well, I've had people argue that, saying, "Well, what did that really hurt?" And I said, "Well, it's not."
The Europeans let it go. So what?
What it is it's not the fact that it physically hurting. It deteriorated the respect of the office again, and then you keep doing that. I didn't like the fact. I know that they have to have comfort levels, but I didn't like the fact, and I supported Bill Clinton. I liked Bill Clinton. I didn't like the fact when they would walk around and they had dress down day where they'd be in the office with jeans on and pull. And I thought that just deteriorates the office to me. I think that when you're the president, you should have, and I know you have downtime, but there was downtime in the Oval Office while you were doing press conferences. And I just thought it deteriorated the office. Again, did it hurt anybody? No. It didn't hurt anybody. It didn't cause any mass panic. But I just think that the fact that we keep diluting
it's about honor. Now, I'm at the point in life where if I belch and I'm by myself, I say, excuse me. And I go, what'd you do that for? Nobody's there. I said, well, maybe Jesus is listening, and anyway. When I have a speech in town, I remember a couple years ago, I went to this, give this little speech, and the people invited me, and they all came in T-shirts, Floridian, Hawaiian-type shirts, short pants, and flip-flops, okay? I show up, not with a tie, but with my navy blue blazer and maybe a crisp white shirt. Well, when I do that, I'm not honoring me, I'm honoring them. Just think about it. You can go to if you go to a swimming party and you showed up in a tux, they'll go, Mr. Palmer, this is a swim party. But come on in, and they'll sit you down with your tux, be nice to you. But if you show up to a black tie event in a swimming trunks, sorry, you're not invited here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have to be the devil's advocate a little bit here, I guess, being the millennial in the room. But
yeah, because you wear your cloth here on Mondays. But you don't wear it on Sundays.
I wear no cloths.
Man, I wore this in remembrance of you today. You see this?
Oh, hey,
my plaid shirt.
Yeah, I like
this
it.
This is, he's always wearing the plaid shirt and black dungarees.
So here's what I think it comes down to. And one of the things that was actually touched on in the scripture verse on Sunday that I didn't actually preach about, but is a really good example about reputation versus credibility. Because to me, it comes down to this. Wow. A lot comes down to the heart. So when you're worried about your reputation, you want to make sure you're dressed well, you look well, you're perceived well. The effort you put to your reputation, in my mind, actually detracts from you doing a good job. For instance, let me explain this. So if you're a doctor who's like, I want to make everyone think that I'm successful and a really good doctor, so I'm going to make sure I put all the attention on appearing like I'm the most successful doctor.
Wearing the lab coat at all times.
Yeah, that's less effort you get to actually working on your craft to be the best possible doctor you can be.
Couldn't disagree more.
Now, I disagree with him too. Yeah, we both disagree with him.
That's fine.
I'm sorry, but Demsick?
Hold on. I haven't finished my point.
So you're saying
what matters is
boy,
credibility. Yeah. Now, credibility matters. So what credibility is about is having the integrity of the office.
This is spoken like a true millennial. This is the way they feel. This is you're right.
Yeah,
they've been doing a lot of reports on millennials. I've been reading a lot of this stuff. It's spoken like a millennial. Except, you got to tell you something, boy. You're wrong, boy.
Well, I don't know. Chuck was starting to get run over when I started talking about credibility.
Okay, if Chuck has a new person that shows up every day to wait on tables, but was dressed in a chef's outfit. This is extreme. But a chef's outfit. He's going to go, maybe you belong in the kitchen. Would you like to work? Do you want to work in the kitchen? And they say if you dress up, let's say you want to be management, and you go
for the job
and you dress up in a shirt and tie and a jacket and tie, and you show up, they're going to feel uncomfortable with you being the custodian. Mr. Schwartz, what are you doing? You're just a... Well, you're going to do a good job. Sooner they will raise. Studies show they'll raise that guy up to a higher position.
You're raising appearance with like it's a costume.
Yeah.
And if you're in the correct costume, then the perception is there. But uniforms and work attire, and I'll go back to just uniform is more of a perception from the customer. To know that it's a generalized person that you can go to for assistance.
Yeah.
And it takes...
I don't want my surgeon showing up in a bathing suit.
Right. What I'm saying is...
Or a pair of jeans.
Well, first of all, there is hygienic reasons that they're supposed to wear...
Well, don't even go doctor then. Go just to if I went to a bank for a loan and the guy's sitting in there with a T-shirt on and a pair of shorts and a flip-flops and said it's just casual Friday, I'm going to go in there and say, well, whatever. Do I get the loan? And the guy goes in there and he's more professionally dressed and acts professional. His hair's combed.
Well,
I'm going to sit there and we're going to exchange respect.
And when you go to church, and here's this guy doesn't wear his collar on church, and I think he shouldn't. I'll tell you why. People, it is a game. I mean, it's all drama. It's all a show. Now, God forgive me for saying this. Please don't be angry with me, but God did the most traumatic thing to get attention. He had his son come and was sacrificed publicly. I'm not making anything light of this. I have no idea the pain that Jesus went through, but he did this, and he died on a cross. You know what I'm saying? And but what were we saying? I was just saying something.
You're trying to say it's a show? I mean, it's not for me.
Okay, but no, but it is. But when I come to you, let's say I come to you, I'm downtrodden. I want to commit suicide, and I can understand you wanting to wear the jeans and the shirt and go, "Hey, Rhett, there was a time when I wanted to commit suicide," which is actually true in your life, right?
Yes,
which is important for people to know because then they know they can come to you. I mean, I like the fact that Jesus was a man who acquainted with many sorrows. The fact he was betrayed by friends and all these bad things happened to this guy. He's wrongly accused. So if you're wrongly accused, well, you can pray to a Savior who's been there. If you've been betrayed, who's been brokenhearted. So that's important to know. But when you also come up and you see a guy wearing this white little, what do you call this thing again? This priest, what's this outfit you have on with the little white collar? The clergy collar. It gives you a sense, it gives the person a sense of security. Oh, someone's in authority. And it says, because I thought about getting one of those clergy collars. I'd like to maybe take the classes and become clergy to go to hospitals when I get older. Because then when I would think, boy, if you have that on, you're in total service. You've got a neon sign on you that says, I'm in service.
So this is my point,
others.
Actually, when you're
I'm
saying
in service of others.
They look to the collar and they see something that speaks to them that says, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yes.
Now, if that's authentic, great. If that's a costume, oh darn. Right? That's not good. And so here's the point.
But it could be oh darn even without the costume.
Well, it could be, but here's my point is, you're saying, well, they dress professional, they act professional. Oh, wait a second. Who said act professional? I find a lot of times when people, again, if they're caring about reputation, they don't act professional. They dress professional. If they care about credibility, they act professional, whether they dress professional or not.
See, I think it's somebody going one step further.
Okay, you guys are talking too hypothetical. Let's have pictures of who. What are you saying? In other words, make up an analogy. A guy or a woman that has a job and she dresses like this.
Well, but I was going to go into another direction because I was going to say it doesn't even have to be about the dress. But I've had kids that come in and they'll say, well, when my daughter was younger, and they'll say, and this is what I was talking about, the dilution of civilness, was they would say, Chuck, can I get something to eat? And I said, well, it should be Mr. Cannon or Mrs. Cannon. And then the parent would say, well, I don't have a problem with your daughter calling me Mary and Bob. And I said, well, no, in our house we make sure that she has well, they ridiculed us saying that, well, if you want my daughter's respect, you'll earn her respect and show. And I said, no, this is a child. This is a non-adult.
I don't understand the circumstances. Why did you want these kids? Who were these kids?
They were friends of my daughters. No, they were a friend of my daughters that were over to the house and they wanted cookies. So they came over and said, Chuck, can I get a cookie? And my point was, it's not, Chuck, can I get a cookie? I'm not your friend. I'm your adult supervisor. And I should be treated like that. Yes. And the parents thought that I was being a little out of line by wanting their daughter to say that. Yes. And my point was, you're just diluting the authority that an adult has over the child. You're now making the child in control of whether or not they're going to be mannerly to you.
I remember when Mrs. Adams in Pine Plains, New York, as a little boy, and I said, everybody called her Janet. I said, Janet. She says, I'm not Janet, I'm Mrs. Adams. Oh, I'm sorry. But to this day, I remember it, and I respect her for it.
Now, here's the problem, Chuck. You have already had that authority being torn down. It's torn down with Nixon, with the fact that he dressed and acted professionally.
Stop this crap. You're way off base here. I'll tell you what. Let's look at black folks. Hold on, let's look at black folks. Nobody's been more put down in this world, I don't think. So you can go for the Jews. The Jews were enslaved for 400 years. Yes, they were. It was horrible. But the Jews were not taken apart from their family. They were these people. Can you imagine being a little child and your daddy goes to some other town working for some plantation, and your mama goes somewhere else? You have nobody. That's a horror, okay? And that's why hopefully we have a little extra mercy on the black. But do you ever notice that black folks, when my dad was in the Atlantic Healthcare, it was always, "Hi, Mr. Rhett." It's a black woman or a black man working over there, a nurse or whoever it was, and hi, Mr. Rhett, and now, hi, Miss Judy, how are you? Well, I realized it's like the Bob Dylan song that I like so much, Dignity. Okay, when I go somewhere and I go, hello, Miss Judy. It doesn't matter if you got a Cadillac or a Rolls Royce. It doesn't matter if you live in the ghetto or if you're living in a mansion. From Yale to jail, whatever. But when you call somebody Miss Judy, Mr. B, Mr. whatever, it sets up a respect. Look at that little kid, Lord Lafauntleroy. Do you remember those movies when we were kids? Now, I don't think you probably know this, do you?
Lord Lafont, no.
Okay. He was a little boy that came from an affluent background. He always was the white shirt with the little white tie and the jacket, and he could go up to a beast of a person, who just robbed a bank, and he's walking down the street in New York, and he go, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. I'm looking for directions on how to get to." And the man would say, "Well, you go down here," because he gave dignity. He got back dignity in turn. And the whole thing in our society is giving dignity. That's why I think one of the greatest songs Bob Dylan ever wrote was Dignity, and people need to listen to it. We got to take a break. We'll be back.
One hour down.
I'm not disagreeing with giving dignity. I'm saying credibility versus reputation. If you focus on reputation, you'll never have credibility. If you focus on credibility, you will.
Well, first of all, what you're doing, you're saying you got to have some sort of reputation. You know what I say?
I
say everybody deserves everybody. Even if I go into prison to a murderer, and this guy Schwartz, Mr. Schwartz, I'm here to talk to you. He still gets my dignity. He may be a terrible man, maybe whatever, but he still gets my dignity.
Well, but what Richard's saying, and I had this complete discussion, and you're saying the same thing as they did, so it is an opinion that's supported. And my wife being a teacher goes through this.
Yeah.
There'll be parents that will come in and say they will respect you if you earn their respect. And my argument with that is, and my wife kind of gets that. Yeah. And it kind of upsets me that she gets it, because I said, but you're the authoritarian, you're the teacher. Right. The adult, you don't need. And she goes, well, what if I was a bad teacher? Should they respect me then? And see, that's the type of comment I can't stand, because I said that doesn't matter. As a child, as an underage child, they should learn that they give that respect, and then as an adult, if they grow out of that and they learn that you're not respectful, that's a decision they can make then. But to tell an 8th grader or my daughter's friend or whatever that you can make that decision is wrong to me.
I'm laughing at that you're probably going to use that on your hands.
I was at first.
No, it's for eyeglasses.
It's going to wash my face down.
I figured if you
have
eyeglasses one day, you'll find that they're always dirty. You find glasses, it's just a pain
especially
in the
restaurant.
Oh my word.
But you used it on your iPhone before your glasses.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because I got a lot of use for it. Now I've run out. And what do? I can clean the clock.
But here's how a germaphobe thinks.
Yeah.
You were talking into your phone, and you've got whatever you're spitting out of your lungs now onto your glasses, and you'll probably get some sort of pink eye now. Anyway, what were you saying, Rich?
So I hear what you're saying. Okay, so you also grew up in a society that
yes, I grew up in a different age. I'm
not just talking about manners. You grew up in a society where you were protected and cared for. You had stability where society in general was where you trusted adults, right? And it wasn't just a matter of politeness. It was a matter of you actually could trust adults.
Well, because still bad, crappy people back then. We just didn't know. We couldn't flush them out like we can now.
Yeah, the problem is, and that's when I was going with the Nixon thing, is that, the Nixon, Vietnam, more and more, what we had is this tear down of authority, where authority failed us over and over, and then we rebelled as a people. And by the way, we I protect my coffee.
Watch this. Hold
nasty.
On. Watch this.
Oh, Jesus. We did not need to see that.
Do you know what
the... Dignity, right?
Dignity. No, I don't know who's been sitting there before. I've been away, man. Hey, what you getting that itchy butt from, man? I don't know. Somebody been sitting here.
But each generation has deteriorated there. It doesn't even have to go back to Dixie. It can go back further than that.
What?
Well, there were. I mean, you know what cracks me up about how we talk about how nasty politics. When I watched the movie the play Hamilton,
yeah,
it was just as nasty back then. In fact, it was even nastier, I think. And if you didn't agree then, you didn't go to the press. You got a gun and went out and dueled them and shot them to death. There was disagreements that went on back in the early part of our government that was settled by death. Yeah. Not debate, not public opinion. It was settled by death. Yeah. If you were a better shot, you won the argument, and that's kind of strange that we came from that. And the language, and again, I'm not basing all this off the play, but I mean, if you look back at the early, I mean, the language was just as bad back then. They used the press back then to get at each other. I mean, it was just as nasty. We have, in my opinion, just kept deteriorating to a point where we're at this point now where you can say anything, do anything, it's acceptable, it's okay, it's not that bad. And I think that's the deterioration of society. I think that we've gotten to a point where, and my wife and I debate this all the time because she definitely sees it more on a millennial viewpoint, and I say that not to be funny. I mean, I think that's a stronger opinion now than it was years ago.
And so here's my point: is that what tore down that system part was the suit wearing scumbag, right? It was the person that had the appearances of authority, but then we found out they misused that trust.
But you could go back and say that. I mean, and if you ever listen to LBJ, or if you listen to even Harry Truman, if you listen to some of the things that they said off mic, I'm amazed at some of the quotes from some of the books that you would read of their biography, that if they were president now, they're honored now.
But here's the thing, it's narrative. It's the narrative that gets told society. So, this millennial generation that you guys look at a lot, your generation looks at a lot as rude, is really just taking the next step you gave them. You gave them the 1960s revolution, and they said, okay, we get it. We're not supposed to trust any authority. Now, all of a sudden, the 1960s people...
Completely different. Because the 1960s was a movement against a war and death. This is a movement trying to just copy that. It's like, I've got some friends that are almost my age that are part of the resistance. And they're like, remember the 60s when we had that movement? And I'm like, yeah, but that wasn't the movement. And the movement wasn't just against conformity. The movement was against the Vietnam War and the decisions that were being made.
You can't pick what your children mimic. So you can't...
No, but you can give attention to it in different ways. We're giving attention to this movement like it's a big deal. It's not a big. They just don't agree with people that are, the Wall Street movement or the Black Lives Matter. These are just movements that we've always had movements like that. Oh, great, perfect timing.
Yeah.
Well, he just brought these in this morning, and I put them in the freezer.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. Says if you offer just a cup of cold water.
I don't know if these are.
And you will not lose your reward in Scripture.
Okay.
Cheers.
I like gin and tonics better during the summer.
I understand. Me too.
I saw a picture of your wife at the July 4th thing.
Yeah.
You guys were having a blast.
We were having a great time. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Listen, I'm not an advocate of my generation to say that it's better.
I sometimes when I say stuff like that, it sounds like it's an insult. It's not. It's just a different generation of people that have grown up under, and in my opinion, under 8 years of an administration. And when you go 8 years, most of those people were probably 8, 10, 12 years old before they were even able to understand what was going on. So we're probably looking at anybody in that 20s, late 20s and back, that's all they know. And my point when I argue with my wife or I argue with some of my more liberal friends is that when you have a representation that it's okay to do certain things, it doesn't have to be a policy that he wrote. It doesn't have to be, it's the atmosphere that they create. And the atmosphere that I thought that was created during a generation that's 3 generations younger than me maybe, and my daughter is a millennial. I mean, I hear some of her comments, but it's too much of an acceptance without having to react to it other than take to the streets. And I just don't, there's other ways of doing things. There's other ways. And I tell my daughter this all the time. I said, if you're trying to be successful, dress successful, talk successfully, appear successful, and you'll probably get the job. But don't go in there with the I'm whatever, and I've heard that this is okay, and I don't go to the dentist all the time because that is too conformist. I don't comb my hair. You accept me for the way I am. I'm not even a gender now. And once we get to a point where all this is so accepting, I just think it deteriorates. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's bad. But in my opinion, it's bad, but I'm not saying that maybe that's the way we go. I know my dad thought when in the 60s and 70s, and we let our hair grow, and we had bell bottoms, and we wore beads, and we didn't take showers. My dad said, someday you're going to run the world, the country here, and you guys are like, who's going to live? Well, we're here now, and we didn't self-destruct. So I get it.
In some ways, but you did create the generation that's here now.
That's true.
So that's my point. My point is that, like the night, like, and there's some funny lines about that. Basically, right along what your dad said. It's like now you're the parent, yep. And you didn't think you'd live that long, but you're the parent now, and the problem is that you have, and now I'm an exception in many ways because my parents weren't a product. I mean, my parents were in the 1960s and 70s, but they raised me very differently. And I've heard how you raise your daughter. It's differently too than most right. parents. Yeah. But when that anti-establishment raised us, they raised us to be like this. And now they're mad at us for doing it. But it's like, well, this is how you taught us.
I get it. Yeah.
And so, like, my pragmatism is, okay, this is the reality of where they are. How do we speak to them on what matters most? And to me, that's like get to the heart of credibility. And that's why Bernie Sanders speaks so much to my generation, because he is sloppy on the outside, but authentic.
And but I just blew that on you, didn't I? Well, I said the way you shook that guy's hand.
He had one handshake.
That's enough for us. I remember saying the only type politician I remember that I didn't agree with.
You're in your open.
Okay, here we are, baby.
Face to face.
Give me a little bit of reverb after the American Life of Chuck.
Okay, you want me to kill the pledge?
Yes. Happy birthday, Chuck! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday, Chuck! I hope you don't get them birthday blues. Happy birthday, Chuck, and thank you very much. Hope you're as happy as can be. Everybody in town loves Chucky. Happy birthday, Chuck. Do you know it's Chuck's birthday? Yes.
And I'm glad you guys didn't complain about me wearing my birthday suit in here today.
Ouch.
Nobody's even mentioned it.
You're dressed appropriately for the occasion.
Ouch.
This is how I came into the world.
Ouch.
I'm going to represent it today.
It's one reason why I don't understand women, If I was in the mood... and all of a sudden, a male body, I'd be going, ouch, no, thank you very much. Okay, matter of fact, we have Kathy Cooper, Superstar, now is going to have a rendition of Happy Birthday for Chuck, right? Oh. You got that ready?
Wow. Who is it?
Chuck!
It's got to be the best day you've ever
Oh,
had.
by the way, yes. Oh, by the way.
Was that Mr. B singing?
That was. The infamous.
Yeah. Richard Cletty says, by the way, my son talks just like that. He'll call you Mr. Rhett, and he'll call Chuck Mr. Chuck. It's just a respect thing. He also said, tell Chuck. Tell Chuck. Where the heck did that come from? Hey, I speak today. Richard Cletty says, tell Chuck I said, happy birthday, Mr. Cannon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Also Richard.
pardon me?
Nothing. He's another Richard. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with politeness. I'm a pragmatist, so I want to try to speak to this generation and get them to understand what matters most, which is having a core credibility of handling and treating people with love and integrity. And I'm just saying that if you focus on wear a suit, right, you're focusing on something that's gonna not speak to the millennial generation. I bet you Richard didn't just train his kids to say Mr. and Mrs., but actually trained them to have respect.
But who's going to hire those people?
Well,
they may not want the job, but they're not going to get the job if that's who they're going to apply to.
Here's part of the problem, and I don't misunderstand me. Like, I'm not an advocate for my generation. I'm a guy who was raised in a very different way than the rest of my generation. I was raised by very strict World War II-like parents. I mean, that was the way they raised me, was like they're from that generation. And I was raised watching movies and music from the generation you guys are in. And I mostly hung out with adults, so I'm not like the rest of my generation. But I am in the technology thing, and this is one of the things I actually even mentioned on Sundays. We've got this thing called reverse mentoring, where younger generation, because they understand how to use technology to such an incredible level, have power, have influence. We are in an information age, and they know how to wield it better than anyone. So the reality is, you're going to hire them. You're going to hire them because they know how to do the website. They know how to do the software.
I'll disagree with you, because if they come in for a job application, I usually have them sized up before we even speak.
Do you really?
Yes. And if
you have to be a good judge, because it's very labor intensive.
If you can't come to apply for a job with me and at least have some sort of respect for yourself to dress professionally and carry yourself respectfully, the interview's over before we even sit down. So what you're saying goes hand in hand with that, but it's not either or.
I don't deny that, and especially in a service industry, they should and need to, and in the actual cooking area, I can't remember the name of kitchen for a second, but whatever. In the kitchen, they need it for hygienic purposes. Both of those are utilitarian. They are purpose driven, right? And that makes sense.
Well, other than the fact that I could probably use that same analogy if they were applying for a bank teller or a grocery store clerk, or if you go in there and your hair's messed up and you didn't respect yourself enough to dress somewhat professionally and carry yourself, I just doubt that you're going to get that job.
Well, the bank teller, I think we can have that discussion. The grocery store is a little different because they almost always have uniforms. I mean, the problem with the grocery clerk of not having uniforms, even if they were all wearing three-piece suits, it would be really hard to tell who was the customers and who wasn't. And it's just a matter of, you want people, one, that you give money to know. No,
but my point with even that, if you're addressing the public, you're going to have some form of speech where you can at least appear professionally with your speech. You're not going to be talking like you're walking the streets there. You're going to have your hair combed. You're going to have some sort of professional image that you can portray. So, yeah.
Hold on. We got to interrupt this. We have a phone call from somebody very important. Okay. Hello. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
And you wanted to say what?
I wanted to say happy birthday to my big boy.
Oh. Who is this?
Show some respect, Chuck.
He said, "Who is this?"
Thank you.
You're a rock. Oh.
was very nice.
So you treat your mom very nice.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you.
And I'm always glad I treated my mom right when she was on this earth. So it's good that you respect and treat your mom nice. Also, a couple of days ago, it was Pat's birthday. Let's sing Happy Pat to birthday. Happy birthday to Pat. Happy birthday to Pat. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Pat. You have a good day.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye, Mom.
Okay, God bless.
Thank you. Bye, Mom.
Yeah. So there you go. Nice happy birthday.
That was very nice. Yes.
From her. So. Yeah. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I figured that call
was prior. If my mom calls, it should come right through.
That's right. Just like your wife.
Yes.
No matter who you're with, there is, There's
two people that need to get right through, yeah.
Yes.
Well, hello! We have another caller on the air here. And who is this?
This is Lois
and,
from CJ Cannon.
And you wanted to say?
I wanted to wish Chuck a very happy birthday.
Well, thank you, Lo.
And tell him what a great guy he is and that he knows how much I think of him.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We all got a nice big family here in Vero Beach, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Well, we sure do, and that's exactly it. We are a family.
Yes.
Yep, it's true.
Great family.
Yeah, we all put
have
up.
to be thankful for that every day. That
Yes.
We have great people in our lives.
Yes.
And you need to say it too. It's like that James Taylor song. Tell all the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. We got to tell each other. So when I see Lois, I come in there. I love you, Lois. What happens if something happens to somebody here in town? You never said it. Say it.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? What if something happens to somebody? Everybody knows it, but the whole town of Vero Beach never changes. I don't know that I live anywhere in the world but Vero Beach, Florida, because we know everybody, and when someone passes away, it's just another member of your family.
Yep. Well, hopefully the good Lord's pleased with us.
Amen. I'm sure he is, and I hope all of you have a great day, and God bless everyone.
Well, we know that Chuck is not perfect though, because the Bible said
another backhanded compliment.
Only the good die young.
And it depends what your definition of young is.
Yeah. All right, Lois. You have a good day, sweetie.
Thanks, Lois.
Thank you. Thanks, Rhett.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah. So you got a list. But by the way, today's broadcast, folks, you heard me talk about Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce and the great deal I got down there. Well, I want to tell you something. The fantastic selection of used Mercedes-Benz on display right now, including factory-certified pre-owned Mercedes with unlimited mileage, warranty that lets you drive all the miles you want. You're covered. And right now, you'll get your first 2 services at no charge. Mention my show. Your first 2 service charge. No charge on their most popular certified Mercedes-Benzes, okay? Fantastic selection of used Mercedes-Benz, including factory-certified pre-owned Mercedes with the unlimited miles warranty that lets you drive all the miles on sale at Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce. Don't miss a sale. Remember on The Millionaire Next Door, everybody thinks, well, Rhett's talking to the folks that don't make enough to afford a new Mercedes. No, quite the contrary. The Millionaire Next Door, 99.9 of them that live next door that you'll never know they're millionaires, drive a used car. So don't be ashamed to drive a used car, because the people that have millions are not, because they know you save so much money. Look at the time I bought that RV. I lost $40,000 when I drove off the lot.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest things to get ahead of.
Yes.
Look at Gary Wheeler. He bought that. Well, anyway, we won't go into that. But anyway, Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce, the great people down there. Tell them you heard about them on my show and receive extra special treatment. You might get a free cup of coffee or something.
Wow. No. It's worth the trip.
Seriously, though, do bring up my name, would you? Thanks, folks. So anyway, we have Pastor Richard Demsick is in here today. And he's at an all-new church. I went there for the first time.
It's beautiful.
Over the weekend. Yeah, have you been?
I haven't been inside, but I drive by it every day.
I was thinking about today. Can we get you to come over some just so we experience it at least once?
Yeah.
So you know what we're talking about. By the way, really like that room they gave you and everything. I'm a little upset with some other things. Am I allowed? Can I talk candidly?
You mean canonly?
No, but
that means with respect.
We got somebody. What phone do I pick up? Headsets. Okay, we have somebody else on the line. Remember, I was going to talk about the new sanctuary when we come back. Okay.
Okay.
Hello. This is Rhett.
Good morning, Mr. Palmer. I just want to wish John.
I do. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you.
Yeah.
Okay, and I do have to write. Dave, of course, is very jealous that he's the vice mayor on Fridays, and that he doesn't have his own song.
I understand how you feel.
Well, thank you, David. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Thanks.
We'll definitely get a song written for you there. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chuck.
What is that?
Happy birthday to you.
Chuck Cannon.
And that has a candle that's not lit because it's against the fire.
Okay, that's all right.
We can't have a fire in here because of the asbestos. But the asbestos
looks very nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, Dave.
One. Yep.
Thank you very much,
They
Dave.
just brought him in some pudding that's made next door at
Cajun Cove.
Yeah, Cajun Cove made that for you.
Very nice.
A gift from Cajun Cove.
Very nice. Thank you.
Isn't that nice?
It looks delicious.
Yeah. All right. Good. Have a good day there.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave. Thank you. Okay.
He didn't remember because there's not a song to remind him. If there was a song.
That was funny.
Yeah. Well, he's been after me for about. It's been going on for about 6 months now. He is jealous that you have a song.
I don't have a song.
You know.
I can't wait till Beverly comes back. Let me tell you.
So what I want to do is let's take a break, Mr. B. But I want you to play for people that don't know or they're new in town. Play the American Life of Chuck on the way out, if you would, and then we'll take a break. And so Chuck Cannon's birthday's today. I guess we won't ask you how old you are.
59.
59.
Yep.
You're catching up with the mayor.
I know.
Yeah, but you look good. You know what it is? He's thin.
Rhett is slowing down. He's not aging like he used to.
Mm-hmm.
So
50.
He's catching up, man.
Yeah.
59 is the new 39. So
that's right.
I thought I'd never catch up to my brother. Now I caught up to him because he died and I passed him. So that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when you do that.
Yeah.
Or your father. My father. You know what? Hitler never got to be as old as me. I think that's weird.
Yeah.
You know? Do you tell me something inside? Do you feel adult? I don't feel adult.
Not at all.
Oh, you don't?
No.
So we're still like, what, 19 or 20?
Yeah, and I still, when I'm around older people, I still feel like they look at me as a young kid.
Me too.
You know?
But you look in the mirror and go, wait a second. Okay, we got to take a break. We'll be back. Today's broadcast brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce.
Especially if they're dressed in a suit or something.
Wow.
Anybody want to have
Wow,
this?
look at that. Wow. You want some of this? Looks like bread pudding.
No, thank you.
Is that what it is? Rhett?
I can tell you are hungry. I know you want half of it.
Why don't you have some of this? Because I will not eat it all.
I'm
telling
fine.
you.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You sure?
Thank you.
All right.
No, thank you.
Barbara would say now he said no, Rhett.
But, yes?
No.
You want half of this?
No. I don't know how many different ways to tell you.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
So my daughter's saying here.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
I'm only gonna need a couple of bites, but the reason I got this today is I was so hungry. Like you've been hungry, like it almost hurts.
Yeah.
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 You know what I get? If I get too hungry, I get shaky and my blood sugar, I guess, gets low.
Exactly.
I get foggy-minded and.
Yeah, I can get foggy-minded. Well, now a bunch of people who listen are going to be like, that young whippersnapper pastor thinks people shouldn't wear professional clothing. That's what people are going to walk away with. Not my point. But whatever.
Mr. B, how are we doing as far as
So what do you...
half and half and milk?
My days are the same.
I don't know, Rhett. I gotta try to get back on
I
track.
got errands to run. And
I can't play this life of Chuck unless it's in the log.
Well, then don't play it. It's okay. Forget it.
I wonder if Mr. B wants some of this before I start.
Go ask him.
He probably does.
He probably does.
You have guests here that are coming in for 9:30.
You want half of the sandwich, Mr. B? Because I can't eat it.
Okay. Does he?
Yeah.
Well, he'll want this too.
Yeah. Great.
You sure, Richard? Last chance.
I'm fine. Who's coming in at 9:30?
No. Oh, you found it. I'm playing it for you.
I told Rhett I think it would be funny if he did this song, but just amateurishly when it had Chuck just went Dave, you know. So I got your song.
That would be funny.
Pastor Bevan, talk.
Hey.
We are back. No, said talk.
So Chuck is enjoying his birthday bread pudding from Cajun Cove next door.
Very good.
I think
That was
people
nice
can all
of him to
hear
send
it
that over.
being enjoyed right now. Which is the favorite thing for Chuck to get on his birthday. The sound of someone eating and talking at the same time.
Yeah, smacking and.
That's what Chuck loves. Oh, there it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, isn't
That's
it,
right.
Chuck?
Yeah, Barbara hates that.
I hate it too.
Me
Well, we
too.
both,
Yeah.
Chuck and I both hate it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you
can't
must
stand
have been talking on the side that Rhett sometimes.
Yeah, I will. When I'm on the phone with someone and they start eating while
Oh,
I'm
man.
on the phone, I will say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry, but I
Yeah.
will have to
Good
hang
for
up the phone. It's one or the other."
Was I
People
on the
have
phone
to
with
show
you?
some
Wait.
respect, you know?
Was I on
Yes,
the
I
phone
do.
with you just recently and you were eating something, or was that somebody else?
No, I never eat something on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a principle thing.
Isn't it funny? Pet peeves some of us have.
Yeah.
Like there are people. I don't want to say who. I don't want to hurt any feelings. There's a couple older people in town though. And when you go out to eat with them, they talk with a mouthful, and sometimes spit flies out, lodges out.
Yes.
And if that landed on my food, it would gross me out. You know.
Yeah.
Is your microphone not on? Because your headset's.
I can hear you. Oh, now I hear
there
you.
you
Yeah,
are.
I am. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Welcome
And I
back
said
to the
some great. I
conversation.
said some great things too.
Yeah, it was very inspiring.
I forgot them though.
Son, let praise not come forth from thine own lips.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a word for that, and I can't remember it. If you physically get angry over hearing people smack their lips and eat,
Yeah.
and I do.
Yeah. Oh, me
I
too.
don't understand it. I try to look around it, but it builds in me,
Yeah.
And
the main thing is just having respect for people enough to listen to what bothers them and have a conversation about it.
Or being polite enough to not say anything about it and just absorb it into your own little...
There's part of that too.
Yeah.
There's times that I've done that.
And dress for that occasion.
It's as long as you wear the suit. That's really all that matters. Wear the suit.
Right.
Well, we've got to take a little break, and then we'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the mayor of the airwaves. Keep it right here. I thought I booked these people for maybe...
For what?
I thought that was a commercial.
What do you think you booked them for?
Well, it would be 10 o'clock. Hey, you guys.
Yes.
All right.
Didn't I book you for 10 o'clock?
I had it on Facebook, but I don't want to say anything until we
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Thank you very
So
much.
are you staying in?
Just till 10.
Okay, I don't know if there's going to be room. He's got 2 or 3 people here.
Oh, well, you can hang on my seat if they want it.
Yeah, this thing is, these water bottles are,
Yeah, I know. That's the less plastic.
yeah.
Hey, how are you?
And we're here to talk about the gala happening on November 17th.
Can you guys stay till 10 to do that? Because I thought I said 10.
No,
Can you stay or no?
we were supposed to leave and go on a cruise today, so we were.
Oh, you are? You're going
Yeah,
on a cruise?
all my children and their spouses and me and Ted.
Because I can,
You can have my seat.
Hello.
Hey, hi.
You want
you want to go on?
No, I'm just saying that.
Let me check this out. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you wanted to talk about the event coming up? Now, you're leaving today for how long?
For a week
Oh, for a week. When is the event?
in November. But she's from California and he's from New Orleans.
Oh, really?
So they're
All
not
the
gonna.
stars have
But how did I meet you in Walgreens? Okay, so who's going to be on the show?
The 3 of us.
Okay, there's only. You see, that's why I've never booked somebody at 9:30 on a Monday.
That's what you told me, and Barbara was there, you had me on speakerphone.
Really? Huh. Sure. It wasn't Tuesday? Maybe, was it?
No, you said 9:30.
Oh, did it? So what about her good news? What do you think of that?
Oh, it's beautiful. I think it's
And
wonderful.
you, I
What?
couldn't believe when I heard how old you were going to be. You
Why?
don't look that way at all.
You know how to flatter.
No, that's not flattery. Is empty. This is the truth.
Oh, well, you're
I was
sweet.
shocked.
Oh, well, see?
That's a good line.
Even you can
Flattery
get
is
this
empty.
age.
This is
Okay.
the
Well,
truth.
David Walsh just
That
called
is a
him.
good
He's
line.
90. Well, he just turned 91.
Oh,
I'm gonna steal that.
And look at the clarity of mind he has.
I mean,
He
only
wants
when it's the truth, of course.
that firm, you know.
mm-hmm.
Red, do you want
okay.
us to leave?
No, I don't. Well, I don't. I know. I would need you to stay because they're going to leave at 10, and you're my content after 10. Chuck, I guess, yeah. It's
I have
cool.
no content, yeah.
You never did.
I'm just an empty barrel here.
Hi, Chuck.
See, we're,
What's going on? Your birthday?
Good, yeah, it is, yeah.
Hugs.
Thank
Oh,
you.
what are you eating?
From next door, it's bread pudding.
Oh, yummy.
You want some of it?
No, thank you.
You're kicking Chuck out on his birthday?
yeah, really.
I'll see you guys.
No, actually, this is his gift. He gets to go
I get to
early.
go early,
You want to
yeah.
stick around though?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I got things I need to do, so this is good for me, actually.
Actually, yeah, it is your birthday.
All right, thank you very much.
Hey,
Richard, see you.
we love you, man.
Yep.
Mr. Cannon?
Thank you.
We love you so much that we're letting you out of the cave, man. So we have a couple of let them sit there. Just
Okay.
stick around, and we'll just have them here. Then when they get done, okay.
You're kidding.
Flexible, I think, is what he's called.
I can go, Rhett.
No, you can't go. I need you at 10 o'clock.
Well, I don't want to just hang out for half an hour.
I'll talk to you.
Oh,
Come on.
stay in here.
Come over here.
Oh yeah.
We can
Oh
hang
yeah.
out,
Does
and
he know you?
I'll introduce myself. I'll
Oh,
tell
he doesn't know
lots
your
of
story.
stories.
They had a miracle.
Oh, cool.
Her husband was only given
Yes,
4
that's
months to live.
right. Brenda Spasato.
Oh, Brenda!
Oh, okay. Come on. Come outside. Come talk to me.
How you doing? Yeah, I've been praying for your husband a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Come over here.
And who are you, Donna? Hi. My daughter, Marianne.
What church are you in again? What church are you
Christ
with?
Church.
That's right.
Yeah,
And you used-
how's Dan
He used to be my son's youth pastor.
Yeah.
Yes.
You all had a gorgeous, beautiful, holy
you.
church. And did you all have your first service there?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we've been open for almost a month now. Yeah, so we haven't had our grand opening.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We've done a soft opening.
We have a meeting actually tomorrow with your board.
Oh, cool.
The
Awesome.
Women's Refuge.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Have a seat. Get yourselves comfortable. Where's your wife? George in there?
My sister.
Oh, sister. Okay. I'll be ready, guys.
This refreshing liquid is derived from an important formula.
No, you can't sing together if you do that, can you?
You're right.
How many? I thought we had one extra one. Okay.
Okay, you guys don't need the headphones unless we get a phone call, which I doubt very much, so.
Okay.
So I'll just move this out of the way for you.
Okay.
Turn down all the headphones.
Now you have to talk like this, right here. Right here. See me?
Mine's facing me.
No, you can turn it any way you want to.
Is it supposed to be?
You can turn it any way you want to. Look. Anyway, just because you just see what it says.
Mm-hmm.
30 seconds to your open, Rhett.
30 seconds. Talk about pressure. Sitting live. Would you, he's got the news on right now.
What's yours?
No.
You're in your open. You're in your open.
Another beautiful day in paradise. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? In the studio this morning, we have Donna Lee Robart.
Hello, good
It's
morning.
another birthday girl, right?
Yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want us to say how old you are on the air.
Well, do you want me to say how old I am?
Well, only if you feel comfortable.
I do feel comfortable because I've reached the age where I like to tell about my age.
Yes, and Moses was called at your age.
Yeah,
Do you remember God couldn't use Moses till he was?
He was, what, 80 years old?
That's right.
Well, I want you to know that I'm going to be 80 on Wednesday.
Wow, 80 on Wednesday. And the thing is, I told her when she first got in here, I said, she certainly doesn't look anything at all. Would you close that door, please? She certainly doesn't look anything at all like 80.
Oh, well, see, when you get to be this age, you don't care whether people think you look 80 or not.
No?
No.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't. You mean because I've got on lipstick or put on makeup or fixed my hair or what?
I don't know, but it is superficial, you know.
What is?
The frivolity of, thinking with, I mean, like, I think it's very freeing to be older now. You know, I'm behind you a few years, but I'm catching up and...
love it.
What do you love about it?
I love the fact that God gives wisdom if you want it. And he gives it to you when you need it. And he gives it to you especially at old age.
But you have a gift of maybe a second sense, an intuition. Maybe a gift of the Lord. Well, they say, first of all, it says in the scriptures, only the fool does not confer with his wife, right? Women have an intuitive sense. That's a protective device, really. Matter of fact, I think women choose their mates using that radar, as opposed to, you know what I mean?
Opposed to the way, men?
Well, we know men are seduced by the eye. Mm-hmm. Women are seduced by the voice. Mm-hmm. Hello, baby. How you doing?
Now, we're seduced by the security.
And touch, well.
And touch. And affection.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're talking about non-sexual touches.
A
lot of men think, I need more affection. And he thinks she needs more sex. No, dum-dum. I only know this because I've been there. This is the typical male response. Now this is your lovely daughter you brought in here.
One of my daughters.
You said I met you at Walgreens?
Yes, one day a few years ago I was in Vero, and after we left the store, my mom said that man has a radio station.
Wow. So, now your name is?
Mary Ann.
Hi, Mary Ann.
Hi.
Now where do you live in Texas?
I actually live outside of San Francisco.
San Francisco. Now we're on iHeartRadio. You have no excuse not to listen to us when we have your mom on, because we got a call, I don't know, maybe it's about 6 weeks ago now, from somebody from San Francisco who was listening at Dark 30. Because, when we're on here, then it's very early there, because we start, 6 a.m. to 10:30 average.
I have heard it.
You have? You listened out there on iHeartRadio?
Yes.
Oh, amazing. That's great. See?
Ah, you're famous.
And we're on Facebook, too.
Oh, well, so isn't everybody?
Matter of fact, well, I don't know, but let me see. I'm touching the screen. Yeah, we're on Facebook right now.
Wow.
See that?
Wow.
Yeah, and the camera is stuck on the three of you because we have other cameras, but I pressed the buttons, they're not working, so Eric from the department will be over here to correct that, hopefully. He said it was my gift for your birthday.
Oh, sweet.
Now, this is your son.
Yes.
And how are you doing? What is your name?
My name is Rich Lee.
So you're Rich Lee. Where do you live?
In New Orleans.
New Orleans.
That's
well,
right.
I'll tell you what. We got the Cajun Cove right next door here. You talk like that. Now, how long have you lived there?
5 years.
5 years. And what do you? Are you like a cook or something? Well, when you think of New Orleans, New Orleans. Am I saying it right?
I am. I'm a corporate chef over there.
Are you really? How do you
Absolutely.
like that? Now, is that pretty good?
You picked it up.
You sincerely are?
Yeah.
I was just joking around because everybody likes to eat in New Orleans, and here you are. You're a corporate chef. That's amazing. And what corporation do you work for?
The largest catering company in the world, with Sodexo. We do, and the particular division that I'm with is we do offshore catering. So we
offshore catering,
housekeeping, janitorial, and catering.
This is Mohammed. I want you to bring to Dubai. I want you to bring me some scrambled eggs, please.
Mostly oil rigs.
We send my private jet. Oil rigs?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
They eat pretty good out there.
Do they?
They do.
Did you see that movie with the one that blows up? And
I did.
And what did you think of that movie?
Deepwater Horizon?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty spot on.
Was it?
It was. It really was.
Was it also spot on about the greed of the corporation, though, that's running the oil company,
Let's see. I don't know if I better go.
Yeah.
But, the movie was pretty realistic.
Wahlberg played the lead role. Mark Wahlberg. He's a Christian. Most people don't realize that.
I didn't know that either.
He's a very dedicated Christian in real life, yeah. He's one of the good guys.
All right.
Although I can't understand, I don't know, and I'm not judging him. I'm just saying, how do you rectify playing some of the other roles he's played? In that one, he's married, he's a loving dad, and, he's also a hero. But, some of the other movies he's played. By the way, if you're smelling anything in here, this is an egg sandwich that I got from the Cajun Cove. Just don't think, wouldn't want you to think anybody had a problem with gas here this morning.
Just wonder if you're going to offer.
Wow, his office there smells like eggs. Now, when did you, Donna Robart? I'll tell you what I think of your mom. But first, I want to know what you two think of your mom. So, you're how old?
I'm 50.
You're 50.
55.
55. So I want you, your mom's going to turn 80 this Wednesday. Of course, you'll all be on a cruise together, right?
We will.
That's very exciting. Where are you going on your cruise?
Nassau.
Okay, good. You'll probably stay on the boat. No, I'm only kidding. No, the Bahamas can be very nice depending on where you're going. Are you going to go to one of those little private islands?
Yes.
Or how does this work? So it's a 5 days?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Great. And by the way, when you're going to one of those private islands, if they head, it may be expensive. I don't know if you can afford it. It's like $500-$600. But if they have a little cabana for the day, rent it. I did that for my mom. Oh, you did it?
No. That's what I insisted. I'd never done it.
So have you already reserved it?
No.
Okay, get on the phone now. Get that with your agent today or whatever. No, but it really was. Before I lost my parents, they're both gone now. But I took them, and it cost a lot of dough, but I'm so glad that I spoiled my parents. And we had a cabana like that for the day. And It was a good memory. You'll like it. It makes all the difference. Oh, look at that. We have a ghost moving your microphone. You just move it back that way, the way it was. There. Oh, no, actually, that microphone is supposed to be like this. I don't know who moved it. Did you touch that when you got in here?
I was trying to
make it look like the others.
Like the others.
No,
okay.
See, that's why that. Don't touch my microphones, kid. So I want to know what you think of your mom. What would you, if you're, like, okay, I'll go first because then it maybe open the door. When I think of Donna Robart, I think of, she started, of course, the organization in town called
Women's Refuge,
which I didn't understand for a long time where she's getting these women from around the world. They come into Vero Beach and she puts them up in this house. You're still in the same house? Still got that house? I don't know where she finds them. I don't know where she gets the funding, but people who are on down and out and reaching their bottom, she somehow collects these women and helps them get back on their feet. And she has a profound spiritual ability for intuitiveness or seeing into people's lives, and she's not, and yet she has those gifts, and I'm very weary of controlling people. People get in positions of pastoral positions or consultation, and I've never known you to be controlling. She's always, it's in a healthy way that you invest in other people's lives, from what I can tell.
Well, I'm not choleric. I'm sanguine, so I like to influence people more than I like to control them. And if there is a choleric person around, I don't mind coming up behind that person and helping that person. We have 2 directors now at the refuge. One is the director of administration. She's choleric. And we have a director of counseling services.
And what is choleric? Define that. More.
Director means of administration. She takes care of all the business and anything that's stuck into, plugged into the wall.
Yeah, that I know, but you're saying about the personality types.
Oh,
you said you're sanguine.
I'm sanguine.
Sanguine, and what does that mean?
That means that I like to have a lot of fun. I like to influence people, and I'm generally,
Can it be misconstrued, though?
Well, of course, everything can. I mean, all personalities.
I'm wondering if I'm sanguine, but do people misinterpret it,
Well, that's when you get older, you won't care.
Yeah, true.
Okay, but choleric people are really, that you want them to be in charge. You do, because God's given them that personality.
You can relax under that tutelage.
I can.
Like Mr. B. He's a detail guy. Just this morning, he had to, while we're on the show, he had to listen to an ad, had to type it out. He brings it in here. He's got these files over. I've never had anybody in 23 years of being on the air organize me as much as Mr. B.
That's Diane. My director of administration is like that.
Yeah.
Okay, the director, her name is Diane Ludwig, and then the director of counseling services is Cheryl Wood. And she has her master's in counseling, and she knows how to handle that. Because we have a residential program, then we have a community program, and then we have support groups.
This is refuge, women's refuge.
But it's not just down and out people. We've had pastors' wives. We've had very wealthy people.
And you've had poor people, everybody in between. Okay, so we're on an elevator. In my world of marketing, we call it the elevator moment.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute. We'll give you 1 minute. Succinctly sum up what's women's refuge.
It's a sanctuary, a place where somebody that is serious can get well. So they can come, a woman can come there between the age.
What?
Well, from emotional and mental and spiritual problems. And there's
so it's not just like a place for beat up women or stuff like that.
No, you can't even be addicted. You have to go through an addiction program before you can come there.
Oh, really?
Right. And
so what do they get out of coming to women? I mean, they hang out and don't have to worry about life for a while?
It's got a curriculum. It's a biblical counseling, and it's a Christian curriculum, and we tell the people who they are in Christ.
Okay, so I'm a lady, okay? Well, that's hard to imagine why would be an ugly lady. But anyway, so I'm a lady. Tell me what problem. I'm from Texas, so I have a problem, and I've come to the refuge. Why have I come to the refuge?
Seeking help.
No, no. That's too vague. I want specifics. Tell me.
Coming
make me a conglomerate of people that comes.
All right.
Pick some woman that's in your mind.
Okay.
Why have I come?
One that I think about had 5 children,
Yes.
and she had a husband that she couldn't talk to, and she was suicidal.
She was suicidal. Okay. How did she find out about? Did she find out? Google you?
She
Because when we
actually-
first met, when you started this years ago, we didn't have Google. But how did they find out about you?
Through Dunklin, that one.
Oh, Dunklin Memorial.
Yeah, then that one, and her husband was on her side, and so every weekend he would bring all 5 children, and he would go to a campsite close by the refuge, and we're on Lemon Avenue behind the police
Really?
station. He would go there with the children. She could go every Saturday night and spend the night with them and go to church and come back into the program.
No, wasn't it? They lived in Texas, or where are they
No,
from?
they lived on the other side of the state.
And they came all the way over here, the family.
But she stayed for
Okay,
6 months.
So I'm that lady. Now I come in. What is my daily routine like?
You get
How
up
are
at
you healing me?
You get up at 6 o'clock. You
And?
go for devotions, and you have a curriculum. You have to read the books that we give you. You have to take the courses that we give you. We have 5 biblical counselors on duty all the
so
time.
it's a total me product. Escape, get into.
It's not a total me, because that's the world. This is a total Lord. This is His time. We don't have television. You can't, for the first 2 weeks, you don't have a telephone. You can't talk to anybody except us, the people that are there. And you finally find out that God has a purpose for your life.
Well, you've had a lot of success with this too, haven't you?
Well, the Lord has. We even have the one that's going to come to our event in November. We have Dr. Wayne Creelman, who is head of the University of Florida Psychiatry here.
You're going to have him
Vero.
on my show, I understand.
Yes, but he is going to be our speaker, and hopefully he'll be speaking about Christian therapy. Now, we are not prejudiced. We will take anybody from any religion, any woman.
Any sexual orientation.
But they have to do our program. We don't change it for each person that comes in.
Okay. So it's like a surrender situation.
It's more than a surrender. It's deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow Him.
Well, it's AA was started with that, but they took out the name of Jesus, and he's big enough that he can handle that. But for me, I was saved by the name of Jesus. But if somebody's not, that's not my. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't care what. That's your business between God. God can certainly reveal Himself who He is. Now, back to the kids. This is your mother's 80th birthday. You're going on a cruise. Wonderful. You got to be all excited.
We are.
You got an extra space angle? So what I want to know is, I'll go with the daughter again. Now, your first name again is?
Mary Ann.
Mary Ann. Okay, maybe I didn't know that. My grandmother's name was Mary. So tell me about your mom. When you think of your mom, and if you want to, you can even pretend she's not in the same room with us. What is Donna Robart? Who is she? What's she all about?
She's a very rich personality in that here's a woman who I would see up before all of us sitting with her cup of coffee with her big Bible open on her lap and a notebook. She's journaled for decades. And yet she would put that Bible away and get going for the day and watch out, because she's got more energy than all of us put together.
I was always looking at your mother, though, from the corner of my eye when she first came, because I've run into some people who are Bible thumpers, Bible readers, and they can become religious as opposed to loving. And I believe Jesus calls us to loving. It's taken me years, but I see she's like, it's very important to me that she's not judgmental. She's always just like Jesus received that lady at the well who was living with the guy and had 5 other guys she'd been living with. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it sounds like, did you sense any oppression at all, any religious oppression growing up with her, or was it a feeling of freedom?
There's always freedom in Christ when
That's the
someone
truth.
really knows the Lord. And
Yeah.
so that's my memory.
That's it.
Now, there was a time in my 20s when I had to get my own footing, and
Were you a rebel?
I was.
Like Billy Graham's son?
Probably.
Well, that's good, because he doesn't have any grandkids.
Right.
You know, God doesn't have any grandkids. You got to
Right.
come on your own.
Exactly. So that's what happened with me. Then I came back and found a best friend.
Your mom.
Yeah.
Great. That's great. And you, the chef. Your first name is?
Rich.
Rich. And Rich, when you reflect on your mom, You know, this is not an obligatory thing. Because she's here, you feel like you have to say these things. But what's in your heart about your mom?
She's just so energetic and loving and kind. I grew up as the youngest, and I had 3 older sisters. So I felt like I had 4 moms a lot of times.
You were spoiled.
Maybe a little.
I often wonder how that affects a guy's life. Because I never had a sister. And I wondered what's the different take, you know? Do you like women as well? I've always loved and cherished and admired
Maybe
women.
that's why I got into cooking.
Are you married?
I am married.
You are married.
Newlywed.
Oh, are you? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have children?
5 between the 2 of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's humbling, right?
It is.
So, terrific. Anything else you'd like to say on behalf of your mom?
The most busiest retired person I've ever known.
Well, there really is no retirement plan in God's kingdom, is there?
Amen.
He hasn't shown it to me yet.
Yeah.
And I would love to go see more of my 22 grandchildren and 23 great-grandchildren. So that means 45.
Wait, so you have 22 grandchildren and 23. So this thing moves exponentially.
Oh, listen, we've told our children when they left home, go out and multiply. And they took us seriously.
What about a guy like me that has had no kids? What about a guy like my friend Pastor Richard? I don't think they can have kids. I'm not sure. But what about the people who are barren?
I think
what happens to us when we die on the other side? Are we going to have nobody there waiting for us?
You know, I'm not going to have children in heaven. Well, and I'm not going to have spouses. It doesn't say that in the Bible at all.
Well, it says to Abraham, he was well pleased with him and said, your offspring will be as many as the stars in the sky.
That's us.
Yeah, we're related to Abraham. So you can go backwards. Hey, Uncle Abe, it's Rhett.
Yeah, but Rhett, he's talking spiritually. And you no telling how many spiritual children you have.
You never know, do you?
You don't know.
No. I was talking with that guy that walks across America with that sign, Love Life, and he had 2 kids commit suicide. One time he was on the air, then he went back to his place where he works on cars, and some guy was waiting for him in the garage, says, I want what you were talking about, you and Rhett, and prayed to receive the Lord that morning in the garage. Now, I don't know what really happened, but you know, if 23 years of being on the air resulted in the fruition of one person being converted to a true relationship, not a religious relationship, but a true relationship with a living God, then it's all been worth it.
You're very influential.
I don't know about that. That's
you're
might
sanguine.
be exaggerated. Sanguine.
Right.
I can be controlling though. In the past, because I come from alcoholism in a home, and children from alcohol homes tend to be controlling because they're the only ones who took care of themselves. So they want to take care of everybody else, and it can be misconstrued as arrogance when in fact it's really our way of loving others to protect them. You know.
And it's our way of being needed.
Yeah. Now, before you leave today, what message do we want to get out? We know that this fellow's coming in November. It's a big event for the
Women's Refuge.
You're turning 80 years of age this Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most important? What's on your mind today?
I'm going on this cruise and having fun.
Yeah, that's good. It'd be on my mind too. It's like I would have said to who booked you today? It's what's her name booked you?
Brenda.
Brenda. And we're gonna skip the ad break, Mr. B. This is more important. So Brenda, we know that her husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer, maybe 4 months to live.
Mm-hmm.
So they came in here and did a show. I'm not sure, it was only a few weeks ago, and there were no tears and everything. They're just going forward and hopefully going to get the. So while we're away, we just were away in Maine and Vermont. We get a phone call from Brenda, and then she starts to cry because they'd misdiagnosed him, and she got the miracle they were waiting for.
Well,
and he has lymphoma, which is what Barbara had. And if you're going to have cancer, that's the one to have because it's curable. You know, most times it's curable these days. You know.
I'd like to say something as a nurse. I was a psychiatric nurse, but over the years, and whenever we've prayed for people that have illnesses that are terminal or just really radical kind of illnesses, we prayed, and a lot of people, and you prayed here on this station. What if God healed him of that pancreatic cancer?
Yeah.
Okay, and then...
Well, that's like you're driving along and say, hey, God, I need a parking space. I need a parking space. You drive around the corner, there's a parking space. You go, that's okay, God, I found one.
So I believe God's got a plan for him.
It sounds like he got a miracle.
Yes.
The only thing I don't understand is, and for people out there listening, why wasn't my other loved one, why wasn't my grandfather healed of that? I'm not bitter. But I'm saying they might say that I happen to have a grandfather who died of cancer. I had an aunt who died of cancer. We don't understand his ways. We don't get to ask why. I was with a former Catholic priest the other day and he said, I've stopped asking why. And I leaned in and I said, why? We started laughing.
Yeah. Romans 5, 1 through 5.
Yeah.
You take your suffering and you endure the suffering. Suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character or integrity.
Jesus was a man acquainted with many sorrows.
Griefs.
I don't know about you, but I take great comfort in that.
And the integrity or the character produces hope.
Women's Refuge. Changing women's lives.
Yes.
A safety net, one at a time. You've been doing it for how many years in Vero Beach?
20.
What's the website?
www.womensrefugevb.org.
Have a great time on your cruise. When you come back, you come on for a little more. Let's have an intimate one-on-one, all right?
Okay.
Okay. God
Thanks
bless
so
you.
much.
Happy birthday! 80 years of age!
Hey.
Thanks for coming in, kids.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
This is the mayor. We got to take a break. We'll be back. Today's broadcast brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce. You'll get a great deal. Tell them the mayor of the airwaves sent you.
Good.
They were going to sing, too, because they both say sing.
Want to sing a song?
Let's just sing it for him.
Let this be our prayer when shadows fill our day.
Why don't you sing this on there when we come back with Pastor Richard, and then you can quietly slip out. We'll have you sing it on there.
It's just like a little 20 seconds.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Okay.
Look at it. He's frowning.
Okay.
No, I'm not frowning. I'm just cleaning up the studio.
Now you two stay. Okay. You two move over to those. They're going to sing that song on the air. Right there. It's the. Okay, Richard.
Now,
Did you guys even listen to us or no?
what did Chuck do?
Let this be our prayer when shadows fill our day. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved.
I'll pick you up on
That's
that
it.
mic.
That's all we want.
That's all, just a little
But I'll
bit.
pick you up on that mic, so come this way.
Okay.
You got some water?
I'll have to get one from the back. Hold on.
I'll grab.
Okay. It's in the refrigerator.
Fun.
Yes.
Let this be our prayer when shadows fill our day. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe. Be sure to cover me in this raw place. It's kind of wide open for me.
Okay.
Lead us to a place. That feels so much better. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll cover you. You cover
And
me.
I like doing the tenor part on that instead of the baritone.
Okay.
Did you guys have a good time? I'm sorry, I didn't have the radio on over there, so I totally missed it.
They might have a recording of it. Can you go back on Facebook?
I'm gonna check and see. But I was.
It might be on right now.
Jeez, let's come over here. My goodness. Let me talk to Donna before we leave. But so you're gonna be able to go at 11:30. Over there, Christian. What we'll do is
We just do what we're told at this point as children. We're her two baby children. So, you know, you don't really know. We just tell her. Okay. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you're on. You're on now. Okay.
Was she listening, you think?
Oh, this is his wife. Rhett's wife. She was calling.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Okay.
many minutes, Mr. B? How many minutes? Oh, there. Hold on, you got 2 minutes to the news. Okay. Oh, so we got a lot of time. Okay, we're not even in the news yet. We're not even in the news?
You're in the news. You got 4 minutes to you.
Okay.
Hey, can I get a copy of that? We had a children's home when I first got, we had a children's home when we first got saved in the 1970 is when I got saved, and I had 4 children, and so we had 70 children live with us over a period of 5 years. So they were brought up with that, with that early Jesus movement.
Mm-hmm. You know, some people don't even know about the Jesus movement.
Oh, I'm sure.
Some people don't even know about Jesus.
We were bonded. Well, like in seminary. People, are you in your 20s?
30s.
30s, okay. So
Well,
20s
thank
and
you.
30s.
Excuse me. Okay, so, all right, so you're going to sit in your regular seat. Okay.
Richard.
We'll all just kind of have to stand and share mics. How's that?
Should we get this up?
Sure, you can do that from here, like that, yeah. There you go, great. And then if you two lean in nice and close. So this is like, is this for your mother's birthday, the song you're singing, or?
No, he's going to be a singing chef.
For the gala, the 20th year gala for the Women's Refuge, it's going to be in November.
Really?
She's going to do the concert, singing it. She's an opera singer.
You are?
And I'm doing the cooking for it.
Great.
Well, we're going to get him out of the kitchen, and brother and sister are going to sing at least one of the songs.
You know what you should do? Wear the chef's outfit.
Oh, I'll definitely do that.
That would be cool. That's unique.
So do you know when this thing
like
is?
The hat,
it's
the whole thing?
November 19th?
17th.
Well, you're going to be back on to promote that anyway. Yeah, you can mention that. You can mention that, Dave.
Okay.
Right, it's a little early for people to set up their camera.
Yeah.
All the snowbirds they're not back yet.
No.
Sure, of course.
But some of them are listening
I always try
around
to
the country.
use
Is this my one?
available for people because we can't help everybody. And,
Okay, so we're going to come on. We're going to talk briefly, and then when I go like this or something, you can just quietly move out of the room. And would you close that door behind you? I mean, when you leave too. You can close it now too if you want, but don't close it all the way though, because Brenda might want to come in. You know, the show sounds overmodulated in my headset. I like it loud, and it's almost where it should be just a hair. Can you do just a hair down?
Stop.
And when I sang and I was listening to my head, I thought I was a little loud even to me. A little too loud for me. It was
How
uncomfortable.
close is good for this?
Hey, it's the mayor of the airwaves, and we're welcome back to all of you. We have a truckload of people in here this morning. We have, of course, Pastor Richard Demsick from the Roll New Church. Have you seen the new church over near the Hampton Inn in Vero Beach on 6th? I went for my first time yesterday, Sunday, and wow, what a place, man. Very nice, very nice.
It's great having you there.
Yeah, we got to talk more about that in a little bit.
All right.
Of course, we have the Miracle Girl in here today. And her name is?
Brenda Esposado.
Brenda Esposado. Hey, how are you doing? So you were in here with your husband in those very seats right there about a month ago. And, of course, he had been diagnosed with cancer, given 4 months to live. And there were no tears that day. We all just were steadfast, prayer. You were strong. And then we got that phone call from you when we were in Maine. And when you got your miracle, and that's when you couldn't hold it back anymore. And we were all crying and happy for you. And because it's turned out that he was misdiagnosed and now has lymphoma, which is Barbara went through. If you're going to have cancer, lymphoma is your better choice than obviously pancreatic terminal cancer. So you prayed for a miracle, but we were laughing in here because it's like, people drive around the block and go, God, please help me find a parking spot. Would you please help me find a parking spot? And all of a sudden they'll come up to a parking spot and they'll go, oh, that's okay, God, I found one. So do you think there's a strong possibility that you and your husband had a miracle?
I believe so. We know we had a miracle. A lot of prayers went up. We're just very thankful God had mercy on us. And Right now, he went for his first chemo treatment on Friday.
Okay, that's usually the hardest, by the way.
Yes, and he did well. He's back at Camp Haven, changing men's lives.
Yeah.
He's working all day today. He's working steadfast. This week, he goes again for another visit, and at the end of the month, more chemo, and we're ready to go.
Did you see your full-page piece in the new edition of Vero's Voice?
It was amazing. He wrote the piece thanking the community. He's very thankful for all the prayers, all the support. Everyone has been very, very helpful, and we could not have done it without
Barbara donated that, you know.
Yeah, that
people
was
don't
very
realize
nice.
every page costs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, so it's when we do something like that, you know, people just think it's just a giveaway program and everybody's, you know, no, I want them to be aware of that, you know. But
you have a wonderful heart. You love, you have a passion to give, Rhett. Thank you so much.
But it's just important that people know, because otherwise they think, well, then we won't go into that today. But we have another giver here. Now, you not only, your husband's giving over there, Changing Lives of Men, you're with Don. And now I've known Don, how many years have I known? 20?
20.
Has it been 20 years ago that you and I met for the first time?
I remember you were at another station.
Yes.
That, you know, over in Fort Pierce.
Yeah,
and you and I had to share the mic.
Did we?
Yes. And we were like this, and I thought, oh, this is something.
I hope I brushed my teeth that day.
I don't have any memory of that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And I was here that Clark Gable, who I'm named after, had bad breath, according to Claudette Colbert or whatever it was.
Yes. Well, it was a long time, and I see you around town, and I listen to you, and I think you're really a vital part of Vero Beach and the Treasure Coast.
Well, that's nice of you to say so.
That's why he's the mayor of the airways.
That's true.
Well, the reason I'm the mayor there is because he put this together.
Amen.
Did you know that?
Oh,
There was a prophetic word in Schenectady, New York. This guy, complete stranger, comes up to me, and we're in this church environment at somebody's house, and says, God told me you're going to move to Florida and have a radio show. Now, this was, I don't know, years before it happened. And all of a sudden, I'm 2 years on the radio, and that brought back the memory of that one. Oh, my word. I wasn't even in the radio business then. It made no sense.
Well, I know what you mean.
And you came here.
I came here on the way to Romania as a widow. In 1995, I was going to go to Romania because I'd been there 8 times, and I wanted to open up a women's refuge there. And I came here and visited some friends, Barbara and Roy Gardner, and I said, Lord, if you want me to get married again, you'll have them knock on my door. Little did I know that was a lead on for my husband to move next door. And we were married in 6 months, and we opened up the refuge the next year.
Man of God.
Oh, wow.
How's he doing?
He's wonderful, other than the fact that he almost cut his hand off last month.
Why?
Working on the table saw at home.
I just didn't want to find out that he was taking the Bible literally. You know,
Oh.
Well, there are some people out there we got to watch out, you know.
Remember,
if your eye offends thee, plug it out.
Remember that I'm a psych nurse.
A psych nurse?
I was a psychiatric head nurse years ago. Yeah.
Well, you've helped a lot of people out. But it's always been hard for me to grasp the concept, though, because when you said women's refuge, I always thought it was for women that have been beat up in a relationship or something. But they have been beat up by life, but not physically beat up by a husband.
Like all
or do you
of
get
us.
those too?
Yes.
You do?
Oh, yes. And do you remember that 6 cities of refuge were allotted to the people to run to for help? When somebody was going after them, you know.
Even if they were guilty?
Even if they were guilty.
In the Bible, if they made it, biblical times, if they made it to one of those cities of refuge.
Yeah, and so that's why we named it. A lot of people have said, why don't you change the name, because it sounds like a homeless shelter or a rehab. And we said, no, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in the time of trouble.
Yeah, it's cool, you know. And, of course, now you hired Brenda.
Yeah,
she's your PR person.
She's our spark plug.
Yeah. You wouldn't be here if she hadn't contacted me during my vacation. Nervy woman. Okay, I relent.
She doesn't take no for an answer.
That's right. Pushy broad. You could have waited till she got back from the cruise.
No, we can't.
These poor folks are going away on a cruise today, and you got to have them come in here. They're going, we can't wait to get to our luggage. Can I go with you? I want to go. I don't want to stay either. Richard, you take over the show like you did last week.
No problem, Rhett.
So, 80 years of age.
Yes. But I don't feel that. I wrote in my newsletter this month, that I feel better now than I did 10 years ago.
Isn't then the strangest thing in the world is the emancipation you feel from former things that would be binding.
If you don't have any guilt that is all down in you and despair, ego integrity versus despair is what one psychologist made a study of elderly people. I feel pretty good about.
Well, I don't know I don't know women and their psyche, but I know as a man there's ego thing. There's the ruffled feathers. There's the hey, who are you? You know. I mean, you walk into a bathroom, you go that way, I'll go this way, who are you? Bump you or your shoulder, or you're going to have a contest with sports, or I don't know, just this whole ruffled feathers crap. Now I'm out of that. Now young guys come in, they be young, they can be bodybuilders, whatever. I'm just, oh, there's the old guy. How you doing? How you doing? I can be nice to everybody, and they're nice back to me.
Isn't that sweet?
I'm not, just like I'm not really out there. You want to go to the top and get your Rolls Royce. I've been there. I've ridden in Rolls Royce. I've been in limousines. I don't want any of that crap.
We don't have
and
it
you
in
realize
heaven.
when you realize, I don't know, maybe some people get this when they're young, but I think it takes a lot of living to realize sometimes there's a lot more love in a little smaller home than there are in the big homes, right?
Well, I think God wants us women to respect the men. And that's what the word says. And so the world kind of turns it around and says it's ego and integrity. But I just think that the men do real well with their wives and their daughters.
But
respect them.
Men have abdicated that position.
Well, that's another
and
subject.
Not been, And those are the women that come to you, too.
Hey, well, let's let Richard, take care of that one. When we're gone, you could talk to him about that. There's a
lot to say about that.
There's a lot to say, and he's young, and he's got his hand on the pulse.
Women have had to step up to be positions of leadership in the households. That wasn't the way God had planned it, but if men abdicate the throne and they're all selfish and everything, instead of being, any woman, you tell me, if any woman knows that you're willing to lay down your life for her, then this crappy word submissiveness, which has been misused in society to abuse people, but it is naturally going to fall into the right positioning because this guy's got your back.
Oh, you use a word that I don't use, naturally.
What's that?
Naturally. I'm telling you, that is a very deep subject. And so codependency is something we teach at the refuge. It takes two, okay? You say women, or have to take their role. Why don't they just do their role? Why don't I just do my role? I learned a lot in my years. I've learned a lot.
What is the role, though, without being bound up with expectations that someone else put in? Because I've taken abuse from the pulpit. He's my friend because he gets up there like a regular Joe and does his little preaching. He's 30 years of age, but he's also been, remember we talked earlier about Jesus was a man well acquainted with many sorrows. Richard been through a lot. He's been sickly his whole life with migraines. I mean, terrifying. He wanted to commit suicide at one point. And here's a guy who was cum laude. I mean, this is, a brilliant guy. So he's been through it. He doesn't talk about that stuff. He exudes the fruition of having gone through that.
You can see it in his eyes.
Yeah. Because you know me, because I'm a fruit tester, baby. Nobody,
I just think that God has you here because you're needed in Vero Beach, and I think it's a great ministry.
Yeah, this is your ministry.
Well, maybe I don't want to go there because I'm a very imperfect human being. But so you're going on a cruise today for your 80th birthday, which will be Wednesday. So happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
That's pretty cool.
And we came here to see you to tell you that we're going to have a 20-year gala event November the 17th.
Yeah, mark your calendars now, November 17th.
Right, at First Church of God.
What time of night?
At 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And my son, who is an international chef, is going to do the honors of having a wonderful meal.
Oh, you're gonna be in charge of the cooking.
Coming down to cook.
And your sister is an operatic singer.
And she's doing the show.
Yeah, great.
And then Wayne Creelman, Dr. Wayne Creelman, is going to do the talk.
World famous speaker. How do you spell his last name?
Creelman.
And you've got him booked on my show in the fall, right?
I will do that. Yes.
Okay, this is good. Now you two have have come together to go on this trip with your mom.
Yes.
But you have a song you want. Is it for her? Is it for what is this song all about?
You could consider this a possible sneak preview of a couple of lines.
Aha.
Please consider that it will be a cappella, so we may or may not pitch it in the right key.
That's all right.
But we are going to woo Richard out of the kitchen on that event night for at least one song to sing with his sister, because he missed his calling. But there's still time, Richard.
All of us siblings grew up singing together growing up, so it's fantastic.
How many of you were there? 5?
4.
4. Okay, Mr. B, can we put a little reverb on the red mic, because they're going to sing live in the studio now, a cappella. Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go.
Let this be our prayer when shadows fill our day. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe.
Oh, very good. That's great harmony.
Very good.
Do you know when my brother was alive, he used to tell me that there's a, because we will play guitar and sing, and he said there's a natural harmonic thing that happens with siblings.
Ooh.
You know, that's why you've got the Bee Gees. That's what you got. That's why you two sound so good. There's a, you know what I mean?
They
Simpatico.
practice a lot. They practice a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And washing dishes.
I just know that it's extremely enjoyable to sing with my brother and my 2 sisters.
Amen.
So.
Now, what time does your cruise ship take off tonight? 5 o'clock?
Yes.
So you got to leave at 12 here.
Yes.
Where are you going out of?
Out of the port.
I'm obviously enjoying this. What's the word? With what's it called, vicariously, right?
Vicariously.
I want to go.
Well, when you go back to Maine, you invite Ted and me. We'll come up there.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, Maine is nice, man.
All right.
Okay, God bless you guys. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. Good to see you.
God bless you.
All right. Donna Robart, turning 80. I used to think that was old when I was a kid. You know, Moses. It's not old anymore. Not in Florida.
Well, it is true that people are living not just longer, but they're having more longevity, more vibrancy to the later years of life, which I'm wondering when the kids are going to catch on to that. Because the younger generation, they look at old age as like the end, and like, oh, I'm old, I won't be able to do anything. And
you hear this crap with comedians going, well, I just turned 38, they're going to bury me 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, what? What does that make me at 63?
And you look actually at the statistics, and you find that people that are older are the happiest, and they live the most vibrant lives.
That is a fact.
It's true.
As soon as you reach 60, it goes up and continues to go up, and you continue to get happier to the end of your life. Is your headset working?
It's not. No, okay. Actually.
Could we have the pastor's headset?
There we go.
There we go.
I'm on now. Yeah, no, it's absolutely the case. And nowadays, I mean, retirement is different than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And retirement before kind of meant just sitting on your couch and not doing much. Now, people that live retired lives, they live active, vibrant lives.
I've been retired since I was 40.
Yeah.
I came here retired. I'm working harder than ever.
In some ways, I'm retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do what I love.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
my father graduated from Syracuse Law. He got us past the bar, and he sent a telegram, and of course my grandfather got it. My grandmother didn't.
Yeah.
My grandfather told me he jumped up and down, and it blew away in the wind. He was so excited. I don't know, he was in Guam or something. And my father said, "This is wonderful news. I'll never have to work another day in my life." My grandmother, smaller minded, whatever, didn't get it. My grandfather got it.
Yeah.
When you find what you'd love to do, you know.
That's right.
I was shaving this morning going, hey, there's some hot coffee waiting at the studio, and you, me, and Chuck are going to have our usual weekly encounter, which goes by.
Encounter of the third kind.
Yeah, goes by awful quick, doesn't it?
It does. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about my day, though. When I wake up, I never know really what's going to happen. And
well, you wait day or night because you committed. You're a typical millennial. When a millennial jumps in, they're in all the way.
That's right.
So you're not even angry or disappointed. If somebody calls you at 3 o'clock in the morning, you leave your phone on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And
I'm too selfish for
I will answer the phone saying, hey, great to hear from you. What's going on? Even if I'm asleep, you wake me up.
So your sleep is not priority to you. You're not priority to you, and that's why you're wearing that clerical collar today. Are we still on, by the way? Are we still on Facebook? I don't know if we're on Facebook or not.
Make a difference in people's lives when you get that chance. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so this woman I met at the bar.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go into a lot of details, but she texted me at like 2 a.m. and said, "Can you call my life?"
You met her at a bar. You know what they're going to say about you? They said that about Jesus. He's a wine bibber, a glutton, hanging out with them folks, drinking and eating.
I fully accept that. Okay. And
so you met this lady in a bar.
I met this lady in a bar, and I hadn't talked to her much at the time. And she texted me and she said, "Can you call me because my life's falling apart?" Absolutely. So I called her right away, and she shared with me about how her son had just told her that he had been raped by her best friend, who was a guy.
Had raped her son. How old was her son?
I don't want to go into any details, but he was young.
Well, was he an adult or was
he?
No,
he was a kid child.
Oh.
And so one of my thoughts when I was talking to her about this was how there's so many other people that she could be talking to right now, but I was the one who's there. And now we've become good friends, and I've been able to be there for her and her son.
So it's a privilege for you to be there.
It's an honor.
I remember one time when Mrs. Jones fell down on the Jones Pier out here, and everybody in my companionship there was either small-framed or elderly. And she tripped, and she went right into the water. I don't know how she missed the dock and my boat and was under my boat. And all of a sudden we're all aghast. And I go, Rhett, you're it.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that's going to save Mrs. Jones's life. It's either you or nothing.
Yeah.
And so I had to immediately react and had to pull her out of the water. And when somebody's in the water, by the way, they get very heavy with clothes.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to pull her up, and then I remember pulling and said, "Breathe, Mary, breathe, Mary," and then go down again. Then I had to bring her up. Finally, we got a ladder, put it in the water. Mr. Jones at the time, they're both passed now. But, you realize at that moment, you're it.
You're it.
So it's a great privilege, but it's also a great responsibility. When somebody calls you 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're it.
And that's the thing, is you don't have to
Don't you get nervous about, like, hey, God, how am I supposed to handle this?
Absolutely. I'm in my head, I'm like, what am I supposed to say? What do I do? And I have no idea. But I know that I'm it. I've got to. And eventually God gives you the right words. You just have to be willing. And that's all that really matters, is if you are willing.
Mr. B is tapping on the time to take a break. Oh, okay, we got to take a break, yes. Okay, we'll be back. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce. We'll go say goodbye to this guy.
Okay.
Goodbye, you guys. Have fun.
Yeah.
See anything like this, pointing to the clock and everything.
Trying to signify him.
Have him point to the clock for her.
Okay, well done.
I gotta move this so I can get to the clock. I think he's done with this.
Rhett, do you want the rest of this?
This is Tim Womack, one of the pastors at First Presbyterian Church of Vero Beach.
Yeah, it's okay.
We would welcome you if you're looking for a church home. We have great
Gotta take
music,
these dishes
great
back.
congregation, lots of wonderful men and women. We are located at the Point, which is at the corner of the Royal Palms.
Hey, could you give me my phone? I hate to ask you, since you're coming this way.
Hold on, I gotta see where we are on that.
Each one of you. Vero Beach Regional Airport presents the Escape to the Mountains. That's right.
Roller skating today.
Non-stop commercial jet service has begun. Vero Beach,
It's
Florida,
the roller coaster.
to Asheville, North Carolina on Elite Airways. Of course, they have service to Newark's Liberty International Airport, the gateway to New York City, nonstop commercial jet service to Asheville, North Carolina on Elite Airways. Free parking at the Vero Beach Regional Airport. Land near the sand. Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Alex Plains, Custom Family Dentistry and Dental Implants. Nobody looks forward to going to the dentist, but Dr. Plains offers conscious sedation for dental phobia. Dr. Plains and his staff likes to help people with friendly atmosphere and a stress-free visit. His office is located just south of the Village Beach Market, 4755 North A1A, or his website, plainsdentalarts.com, or call 231-6004. That's 231-6004. So to help with your next dental need, from the basic cleaning to dental implants, call Dr. Plain and his friendly staff offering conscious sedation to overcome dental phobia. That's Dr. Alex Plains, 231-6004.
You are listening to the mayor of the airwaves.
This is Kate Demzik, Artistic Director of Advertising for Marks of the Point Salon Boutique, encouraging you to elevate.
James, it's Rhett Palmer. How are you? Oh, I did. Yeah, just got back from Maine and Vermont with the school, and now what I wanted to talk to you about is you said you're looking for something. I wondered if you'd like to meet and talk at lunch. I'll take you to lunch. But only if you're interested. Are you possibly interested in working with us tonight? Working with us with the magazine and the radio show as far as maybe getting into sales with us,
Are we off?
Yeah, we're in news. Now I gotta call them over there and ask somebody to come down and pick up these plates.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're off for today?
Well, no, we're.
Oh, we are doing that.
Yeah.
Do you need chocolate or do you get it my thing?
I eat chocolate sometimes, dark chocolate, but like less sugar, Yeah, but I can't eat a lot. Dark chocolate actually has some very positive things that balance the negative.
Dark chocolate's the best chocolate. I took a phone call in the studio from a doctor's office. I didn't get who it was. It was one of these recording things. Tuesday urology appointment at 1. Is that for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a reminder. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got it in your phone?
No. Put it down there.
Okay.
Clean out the one of those?
Yep. I found them.
You didn't eat them anyhow.
No.
Why? You trying to be good?
Well, I'm trying to be good, yeah. I brought yogurt in during the summer. Trying to eat light during the summer.
Oh, yeah? Why? Why in summer?
Because it's so hot, you know? I don't want to get bloated. Ask the hair guy is coming in at 12:15 to cut his next 5 segments today.
know?
Inc.org is a not-for-profit 501c. Donations are accepted.
Open it next, Rhett.
It's time to escape to the mountains. Non-stop commercial jet service to Asheville, North Carolina on Elite Airways. Free parking at the Vero Beach Regional Airport. Land near the sea.
Here we go.
Traffic trouble. The study shows traffic congestion in the world's major cities is getting worse. Meanwhile, here in Vero Beach, traffic is moving fine. So please, get out there and do what you can to slow it down. Slow-moving traffic means more people are stuck in their cars, and hence listening to my show.
There you go.
We need more traffic in Vero Beach.
You know, we have gotten a lot more traffic lately. This town is having a lot of construction. A lot of more people are moving here.
Some restaurants are having great summers so far.
Yeah.
Ocean Grill on Saturday night, packed out.
Ocean
Grill,
like
medium season. I mean, like in the season.
And that's the kind of restaurant you think would be a restaurant that have a very dynamic season and then a very dynamic off-season.
It's all changing.
Yeah, wow.
Getting a lot of upscale Spanish people here.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, I went to Target last night. Yes, I admit I go to Target, just like me and Michelle Obama.
That's the fancy Walmart.
It's a fancy
Target.
I hate to tell you this.
Yeah.
I have grown to like. But let me just say this to everybody in the aisles. Everybody was speaking different languages.
In Target?
Right.
Oh, yeah, well.
No Americans. There were lots of Spanish, and then there was Chinese, and
we don't have a lot of Chinese in Vero Beach.
They're coming.
It's very rare.
But what was the other thing? Oh, it's a Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay, from the boss. I'll see you at Vincent's at noon. Okay. Okay, bye-bye.
Wow.
Vincent's Italiano, grazie.
That was just an advertisement for Vincent's, I guess.
That's right. That's what you do. So you use this situation of the time. You know, say, oh boy, I've got to get somewhere. Well, I can get there real quick in my new Mercedes-Benz from Mercedes-Benz of Fort Pierce, where I got a great deal and you got a great deal. I got that Ronnie radio voice.
Speaking of which, you wanted to say something about the sanctuary.
The sanctuary.
Yeah, the new
what
sanctuary. The new
oh, your sanctuary, yes. First off, I want to finish what I was talking about here. The sanctuary. That'd be next. I want to talk about my belt. I have my first official Walmart belt.
Oh.
I have discovered in my latter years Walmart. Now, I'm not as crazy about our local Walmart. I don't know why. It just seems a little shoddy.
Yeah, well.
But when I was up in Maine, Vermont, they're just pristine. They're nicely kept, nice people, and everything. Not that they're nice here, but I don't know why. It just seems. Anyway, I've discovered you can get great golf shirts there. I mean, who can resist buying a golf shirt for $7.99? If you get spaghetti on it, you can throw it out.
It's tough. The local business people really can't compete.
Well, yeah, it's true. Maybe I shouldn't be announcing that on the air. That's true. I didn't think about that. Uh-oh.
No, I mean, I go to Walmart sometimes. It's hard to resist, especially because the hours. They can open at 9.
Yeah, 10 o'clock last night. What am I doing? I'm hanging out at Target. Target.
You have no other option. You can't go to a mom and pop's at 10 at night. They can't afford to keep it open then.
Well, I will say this on behalf of those who are loyal to our area. When I can, I do shop locally, and I give the business to local. And that's a promise, and that is my word.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
But I did, when you're traveling, and if your funds are a little tight, I ended up needing a new belt. And I went in and like $10, I got a leather belt.
Yeah.
It may not be the high-end leather.
But it is leather.
Yeah, it's leather. So, you know, it's like, it's just a kind of a unique thing for me. And maybe somebody's out there going, well, Ma, we've been going to Walmart for a century now. I remember when there was a thing called Kmart.
Well, there still are Kmarts.
Yeah. But Kmart was huge.
Yeah.
It was like when Kenny Rogers was the #1 country singer. I thought there'll never be anybody like this big again. He's huge. And then Garth comes along.
Yeah.
I got to meet Garth. You know,
and he's
really cool.
huger.
He's huger. He is.
Yeah.
And what a nice human being.
Mm-hmm.
What a wonderful. He treated me so well. Anyway, so let's get to your new sanctuary. Pastor Richard Demsick is in here. And the title of your church is 92.7. What is it?
92.3
what is
FM.
That? It sounds like it's it's not. You're not on the FM.
Yeah.
Why do you have that number?
Well, it used to be the address of the building is 923.
It's kind of a weird name for a church.
But it references Mark 9:23, which is all things are possible to him who believes. And the story is actually a father who's praying for his son. And he wants his son to be healed. He's asking Jesus to heal him, and Jesus says, you know, he says to Jesus, is it possible? You know, and he said, all things are possible to him who believes. And he said, I do believe. Help me in my unbelief. And that's a huge part of what 923 is to be there for people that are having doubts, because God even honors those people who say, I do believe, but I've got some questions. I've got a skeptical side of me that's kind of got some doubts. And we say, come on, as a community together, we'll search for truth together.
So this is this brand new church right next to the Hampton Inn.
That's right, yeah. Christ Church.
I will say this. I never was there before. I wasn't there during the construction. I'm glad I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in yesterday for the first time. I drove my little scooter over.
Yeah.
And I walk in, the main section. Wow. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like churchy.
Yeah.
Yet it's really nicely done. The tile on the floor, not the tile, the marble or whatever that is on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that is tile. I call it tile, right? But I don't know, just the way it's decorated, something about it I really liked.
Oh, nice.
It's a little confusing where to go, though.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had to go out of the building. They said, no, go down here. Then I went down there. And they said, no, you got to go back around here. It's for someone who's new, it may not seem complicated to you.
No, sure.
But it is. But another nice thing is after church, they have spaghetti. Mm-hmm. So you guys serve like a little lunch.
Yeah. We always try to
feed people. Is that for the homeless,
people.
or is it just for the people in the congregation, or for anybody?
Well, actually, it started a long time ago with my mother-in-law, who's a member of our church.
Yeah.
Just wanted to invite people out to eat with her after the service. So we'd all invite people out to eat, and we'd go to different restaurants. But it became more and more expensive because some of the people that we reached out to didn't have money for food, and so we'd pay for their meal. And then the other thing that ended up happening was we would pack out restaurants because we were growing and growing. So eventually we decided, let's just have the meal at our house, at our church. Yeah. So we'd have the meal right there after the service, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger, so we started asking people to help us contribute to the meal. And Lori ended up just taking this on until it became the church thing, is anybody's invited, so everyone is welcome in our service after the meal to be able to just have food together and just to talk and be family, and that's what church is all about. So that's how that happened.
Now they gave you this little area, this little sanctuary. Mm-hmm. It's very intimate.
Yeah.
I like the carpeting.
We're packing it out.
Yeah, there is only one problem, having known some people in the religious business.
Mm-hmm.
They would say when they were doing these, I would learn this when they were doing tent revivals in churches, a church will never fill to capacity.
Yeah, 80% is the rule.
There you go.
80%. Yeah, we're about 70 right now.
So what happens next? I'm a little disturbed, and I'll say this, you and I have not had a conversation.
Mm.
I was very angry when I first sat down yesterday.
Yeah.
Of course, Rhett has his anger issues.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I thought, why are they having another 11 o'clock service?
Yeah.
What kind of crap is that?
I've heard that from people. Yeah, that we've got 2 11 o'clock services.
Well, why would they do
One's
that?
more traditional and one is more modern. We do the modern one for the Misfits.
They already have 2 other services, don't they?
No, they switched it. So they originally did an 8 very traditional, almost no music service.
Okay.
And then a 10 o'clock hybrid service, and then we had the 10:30 modern service.
Uh-huh.
And now in the new building, what we have is a 9 o'clock classic service, which has a choir and an organ, and it's got a lot of liturgy with it, and it's a more
perfunctory.
It's a more musical version of the traditional service, kind of in the middle.
Okay.
And then we have 2 11 o'clock services now. One is a slimmed down liturgy with a praise band that does more hybrid contemporary traditional music.
But that's what you're doing.
No, we do the modern. We do the modern, loud, joyous, community-focused outreach service. So that's what we're doing. They're very different services. But yeah, I personally, wish they weren't at the same time, but that was just the way things came down. We'll see what happens in the future. But we're still figuring things out as we grow.
Yeah. Well, sometimes things get away with it too. I was thinking, I wonder if I dressed up like Jesus, and I put thorns on my head, and then I poured some red stuff over my head, and I'm bleeding. If I stood up to church, people would come, and let's say I wasn't a known talk host here. They'd say, "Who's this freaky guy out here? We got to get rid of him." And I was wondering, how many people are attending churches that are religious?
Yeah.
But would not even recognize Jesus if they were standing next to him.
Oh, absolutely.
Look, Gandhi was turned down by a Christian church.
Yeah.
Because they said they didn't like the way he's dressed.
Yeah, and if you really look at the details, especially if you go to a modern equivalent of who Jesus was, it's absolutely the case that Jesus would not be welcome in most churches. And I would say, this is just making this statistic up, but I would say about 90% of churches would either not let him enter, or if he did enter, would want him to sit in the back and be quiet and then leave.
Well, almost like an artistic thing. I thought, well, then what I could do is I could pay an actor to dress up like Jesus, put the crown of thorns on, have the blood dribbling down his face.
No, that would be a lot different than the modern equivalent.
And then I'm standing on the sidewalk, because I'll probably get kicked off the grounds there. And just and me being able to yell to people, would he be welcome here? Would he be welcome here? And they're going off having their little Sunday dinner. It's like, what do you think this is? Well, you think you're just going? People want to have this religion. Here I am being a judge now. I'm judging those who judge others.
Well, here's where I come from. My perspective isn't just about looking negatively on the people that do a very religious institutionalism church. My thing is more, if you taste the sweet flavors of loving people and building relationships with people that changes people's lives, then nothing else will ever satisfy. The taste of bland imitation meat.
But
yeah,
Jesus plainly stated, "I come for those who have need of a physician."
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not come for other people. So if you're doing hunky dory and you're some rich doctor, or you inherit a bunch of money, or you're just a middle class working guy, but you really haven't experienced the lows of life. I don't know, and maybe it's just my attraction, but I'm only attracted to people who have been broken. Jesus said, about the brokenness. What are those scriptures that I like so much?
The contrite heart he does not despise.
Well, God will not despise a broken and contrite heart. A bruised reed he will not break. A smoldering candle he will not snuff out. Thank God. Thank God. Have you ever been quick to judge or to yell at somebody in a situation, something later on, or almost, or you felt ill towards someone, and then you find yourself in a similar circumstance, and somebody comes up to you, and they're kind. I mean, just a hand on the shoulder could just melt your world, and it has, and you go, thank God somebody was tender around me at that moment, like God sent them. And that's why it's important no matter what situation we're in. You know, it's like I was telling Mrs. Robart today, when I used to see pedophiles arrested on TV, I would go, oh, let's stab them 1,000 times with a knife.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like that. More than I like that. And now when I watch it, having become friends with Jerry Lamoth, who is a counselor in town here, and he's taught me certain things, and so now I look at somebody and I go, oh, I wonder what he went through to become like that. Who misused him? It's not. I'm not giving the okay on this. It's very bad, and I do not approve of it at all, of course. But and it's weird, and I don't understand it. But a little more erring, maybe later in life, on the side of mercy. Even people that treat me wrong.
Yeah.
Like there's a businessman in town here. I no longer do business with him, and if you listen to my show, you can probably figure out who it might be. But anyway, the guy in the last, after many years together, got turned into a bully. He was not nice. And then for a while you take it because there's major sponsor or something, but then when they're not nice, finally, you know, I'm doing doubly better financially than I was with this other person. So there you go, nanny boo boo. But the point is, I don't have to be around that oppression anymore. You know, if you're hanging out with somebody that makes you nervous and you can't be who you are, get out. Right?
Well, and
get away from that person.
Well, especially someone who's a negative influence. You know, if they're a positive influence and they're taking you out of your comfort zone, that might be great. You know, one of the things, I won't say who because I don't think he would want people to know, but there's a member of our 923 community group who was saying how a lot of the people in our service are people that he would have never associated with. Just from the look of them. He would have looked them up, sized them up, and said, no thank you. And because he didn't, he said they're now the most precious treasures of his life and his favorite people in the world. And he found out that under the surface was this heart of this just amazing individual. And that's the treasure that I think so many people miss out on when they do religion instead of relationships. When they do the institution structure and they don't go in and actually start doing life.
Well, I'm a typical old fart, and I see all these. Started a few years ago. All these kids, everybody's got all these tattoos, and now even full page ads in New York Times Magazine. Somebody's selling shirts, and they got all tattoos. And what is this thing with tattoos? And at first, I didn't accept it because when I was growing up, it was, frankly, it was a lower economic class group of people. Ruffians that had tattoos, and that was it.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of Navy guys, and that was it. All of a sudden, these tattoos, which I connoted or denoted as being lower class, and now I find out that a lot of young people, I kind of actually like them. I kind of look and I go, hey, can I see your tattoo? Yeah. Because I realized when there was a young lady driving her bicycle up over the bridge recently, past 6 months, and she had this tattoo on her back calf. And as she was going over, and I'm driving over, I'm behind her, and I see this, and I went, wow. Otherwise, she just would have been a female riding her bicycle. Yeah. Instead, she had a distinction, and if I saw her a couple times at least, I would probably recognize the tattoo, and then I'd go, oh, that's her.
That's right. Yeah.
So I can understand why people in this world of so many people, I think it's a call out to say, hey, nobody has the same tattoo that I do.
Yeah, I mean, for different reasons. You know, what you're talking about earlier with the pedophile, I think really relates to the tattoo, which is if you start listening to people's story and you start hearing who they really are and you start understanding them at their soul level, then you start understanding. And some of the times you find out these tattoos were stupid mistakes that they made, that they're younger and they regret it. Sometimes you find out that these tattoos tell beautiful stories.
Hey, look, you know that I have a hard time with homosexuality. I have gay friends. I just can't embrace that. You know, it's you cannot procreate. I just personally, just something about it. I don't accept it. I can't accept it. And yet last night I watched a show, a movie. What was the name of it?
Moonlight.
Moonlight.
Story.
And by the time that thing is done, I mean, I could cry right now. I was crying last night. And I just felt again like God was telling me, I'm not. It's not for me to judge. Here's this beautiful young black boy who, I guess he had effeminate tendencies. In the movie, the mother goes, "Why do you think they beat him up? Because look at us." And I'm thinking, I don't know. Maybe I don't have good. They call it gaydar. That's the joke within the circles. Yeah. I don't have good gaydar because I couldn't see where he was walking. I did see that he was shy. He was diffident. Reticent little boy, and then anyway he grows up, and the only affection he ever gets is from his friend, and it's a little more. It's very intimate affection. Let's put it that way. And then years go later, and they meet again later on in life, and he says, you're the only man that ever touched me like that. In other words, he never had any intimate relationship with anybody in his whole life. And he became very successful. He was a bodybuilder, had gold chains around his neck. And they talk like black people talk to each other, and at least in the hood, and all that stuff that I halfway understood. That's why they put on the little characters that say what they're saying. Yeah. But at the end of the movie, I'm crying and I'm going, wow.
Yeah, and
I love these guys. And I want, I don't understand it.
And addressing that, I'll share a couple quick little anecdotal stories of some people that I love who are gay. And one is this girl who said, "Oh, it's going to be so much better when they realize that my sexuality isn't broken." And I said to her, "But that's wrong." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "All of our sexualities are broken. All of our desires are broken." And then the other kid, who was a youth kid, who said, "Am I supposed to go with the guys or the girls because I'm only half a man?" And he was gay. And I said to him, I said his name, "You're all man to me. You're coming with us." And then his face just lit up because I didn't see him as a gay kid. I saw him as that man. I saw past it, beyond it, and loved him for who he was at his soul. And that's what we are called to do.
All right, Pastor Richard can catch his services 11 o'clock on Sundays right across the street from the Hampton Inn downtown on Miracle Mile. And don't get confused, there's 2 services at 11. So personally, I'm going to the services that are for the, what do you call it?
We're the Misfits.
The Misfits.
At 11 o'clock.
Got to take a break. This is the mayor of the airwaves. Who loves you, Mr. B? Oh. Suds and Shine. They're off until the fall. They've taken a hiatus.
Okay.
With just a minute to go, you brought up homosexuality. It's funny. I think it was handled well.
Yeah, that movie was really...
Yeah, I gotta finish it. I mean, when it won the Oscars, when I started to watch it, and, I just got bored. It was, other stuff was going on. And
who is Marvin's management? P.O. Box 61231. Let me find out.
All right, Rhett.
You got to rush off?
Yeah.
Why? Is your wife home?
Well, actually, no. She's got an appointment.
What do you got to do?
I got to call a couple people back that said, "Call me ASAP." So
go to it.
I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but I don't want to get back to them. So. All right. Take it easy. It's good having you back.
Nice. Nice to see you, too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Life.
Yeah. Life can be beautiful. Oh, nice.
With Ask the Hair Guy.
She's actually showing up at the studio?
Yeah, she comes in with him. She's got to recut the open. We're going to change the music.
Oh, okay. I know she had an appointment at 11, so hopefully she'll get here.
Yeah.
All right.
12:15 he's doing. So.
Okay. All right,
I'll see you next Monday. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Hi, Catherine. I'd like to know what Marvin's. I got to be in here alone right now. Okay, please. I'd like to know what Marvin's management is.
Property management firm.
Okay, I want to know why I got a bill to Vero's Voice for $1,722. As far as I know, I've never hired Marvin's management for anything.
And who am I speaking with?
Rhett Palmer. Vero's Voice magazine.
We did some work at your studio a couple years ago.
What kind of work did you do? And all of a sudden, there's this bill out of nowhere. I don't understand.
Just a moment, please.
Yeah.
Can I get your number and have Stephen Klein give you a call?
Yeah, 473-7777. What did they do here at the studio?
I believe that was when you were remodeling it. It was through Barbara Freud.
Yeah. Oh, so is she friends with what's his name? Is his name Marvin?
Marvin and Stephen.
Marvin and Stephen. Oh, this is her friend. Okay. I remember. I don't remember what they did. That was actually 4 years ago. My word. Okay. Well, I'll give this bill to Barbara, and her number is 538-2718. This is kind of weird to get a bill so many years later. I don't know what this is all about, but anyway, I'm sure we'll work it out.
All right. I will have him give you a call back.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Relentless, and I'm calling because Matt has given me your phone number. It said that you're interested in coming in to the gym for an assessment. So if you can just give me a call at your earliest convenience. The number here is 772-217-5537, and we can
Who's Josh Ramsey? Josh Ramsey.
Hello?
Hi, Josh.
Hi.
This is Rhett Palmer. I see you tried to call me.
I was calling you back because I saw I missed the call from the number I didn't know.
Okay, so now, Josh, I'm trying to place you. Where do I know you from?
Hold on a second. Try to turn the sound off on my. I go to church with
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Richard Demsick was just in here. Okay, cool. Yeah, he said that you. How old are you, by the way?
27.
27?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But anyway, we were talking about young people that know about the internet and iPhones and iPads. Well, he announced you in church yesterday that he said, well, he's not here today, but there's a fellow in church here that does that works with people, teaching them about iPhones and iPads and stuff, And so after church, I texted him and asked who that was, and he gave me your phone number.
Yeah, he told me he did. I don't blink. I did a soft opening in January, and I've just been putting out flyers here and there at like retirement home stuff.
Oh.
I'm trying to get everything fully operational in August.
Well, great. Listen, I wondered, you're not available right now, are you?
Not at the moment.
Yeah. Because I got a 12 o'clock luncheon, but maybe later today or tomorrow you and I could get together.
I've got to go help my parents with something today.
All right.
I'm definitely available after 2 tomorrow.
Okay, why don't you give me a call? Let me look at my calendar. Hold on a second here. I'm on my iPhone as we speak. Tomorrow 2, I got to call. Tomorrow. Okay, I got to be at Dr. McKee's office at 1 o'clock. So I'll probably be available about let's say 2 o'clock tomorrow. You want to get?
That's when I get off of my day job.
Oh, what do you do?
I work for Batteries Plus Bolts.
Batteries what?
iPhone.
Oh, okay. All right, so give me.
I do phone repairs through them, and then I teach people about their phones in my own time.
Okay, cool. Now, what do you typically charge an hour?
It depends on what you need done. I've been doing simple things like teaching you how to use your email or send messages or use certain things on your social media account that you're not sure how to use. $20 for 20 minutes.
No, that's a little.
I haven't really come up with anything else.
That's a little on the high side for me, but I was wondering if, I don't know how good you are with social media or not, but, I was looking to hire somebody, but I suppose if I could give you more hours, then you could bring it down to maybe 10 or 12 bucks an hour. What are you getting at your other job? How much do they pay you an hour?
I get $9.50 an hour at that job.
All right. So if we were willing to give you a number of hours every week, maybe we could bring it down to $10 an hour.
Yeah, no, I said it's still, everything's still, I'm trying to work out the rest of the pricing.
So you're really good with social media?
It depends what you want to do. I mainly just know some of the things that not everybody uses on Facebook. Like how to request that your email is taken out of the Google search.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, listen, I tell you what, let's plan on meeting after 2 tomorrow. Give me a call around 2 o'clock, and then we can decide where we'll meet. Maybe I'll meet you over here in my radio studio if that's okay or something, As soon as you get out of work, give me a shout, and then we'll plan on meeting after that, all right? Good. Well, thank you, and look forward to meeting you tomorrow afternoon. Okay. Hey, you too, man. Make an appointment on my calendar for tomorrow, 2:15 p.m. Call Josh Ramsey.
Okay, I set up your appointment. Your event is scheduled for 2:15 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay. You got this already? I sent this to you yesterday?
Yeah, I got that and processed it and put it in today. We need a spot.
Now, tomorrow you're going to play, what's the other show between 8 and 9? Remember I sent it to you?
Yeah, the Marshall Frank. It's already in.
Well, maybe you want to play these two again tomorrow, too.
There's only one of these.
There's 2 of them, actually. I'll send you the second one.
Well, you never sent me the second one.
All right, and it's a short one. You might want to play it now.
I had Dr. Plains after.
Oh, then play Dr. Plains.
Yes. Okay.
That's easy now. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go to.
Yeah, you'll have to send Nate that other one, and I'll do the other.
Okay, Uncle Jack. This one's 11 minutes and 38 seconds. The next one is 8 minutes and 51.
That's better.
Okay, and so here I'm going to send this to you now, Mr. B.
Did you put your things in that folder?
I did.
Your
yes.
jokes? Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Not this one though.
Yeah, that goes in the Mercedes.
Because.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then you got the Mercedes ad.
Yeah, the Mercedes ad is great. Put that in there. Thanks to you. I don't know whose water this is. I think this is my water.
Yeah. And
eating those cookies. I was having a great day.
And what's his name? Michael is.
Who's Michael?
Michael, the guy that does the hookups here in the studio. He's got that.
Mike.
He's got that box to do a USB over here, but he had to ask permission. He thought that this computer was the county's.
No. What's a USB? What's that mean?
Well, to hook up the thing for Facebook that they can. I forgot.
Yeah, no, they don't own that. This is mine.
Okay.
This is mine. Yeah.
Put that in the thing over there. This is going to stay here because we'll be used tomorrow morning. Got this. And bring your coffee cup in and I'll wash it for you.
All right, might as well take that now, huh?
Okay.
All right, that goes there.
You need the light on still?
Nah.
See, sometimes, and that's the other thing. If it starts getting the other day, Friday, you said it's hot in here.
Yeah.
That would be the next thing. If I shut these off,
Yeah.
they'll cool it down. So that might, if it gets really hot, we might have to do that.
All right.
Okay. You still got enough light here to see, but because those are spots. You got 8 spots here, and that heats up the place.
What just happened that we got really weird?
I have no idea. That's coming from that.
Between the so let's go back. So there you land as a CB, and the devastation is before you. Yes. What about it? Just what? First of all, now you're 90 years of age. You're more willing to talk about this.
What's the thing? Monday.
Talking about it, you know. But I found that the Japanese people were just like people all over the world. They didn't want war any more than we did. They didn't want. The people were very honest. After we got there, they were very honest. We saw the ones that got, even a lot of them that got burned from the bomb, and we saw them afterwards. And so in other words, you occupied though for a while. That was American territory. I was occupied for it was like from September to the following May. So we were all part of the occupation forces. Yeah. Now it was against the rules of engagement though to bomb helpless citizens, and yet that's what Truman did do. I mean, these are 100,000 citizens, 45 that were killed instantaneously, 60,000 that were maimed. I think the decision was the right decision.
We got to find out if that's coming from us or them.
Because the war was going to go on with a land invasion, and to invade Japan through his island.
I don't know even know what to ask for.
It would have been horrific for both sides. And I guess they were I understood they were giving, they dropped things and they gave them a lot of warnings. And the Japanese government they ignored them for a while, I guess. And then after the second bomb, that kind of did it. I guess it was the second bomb.
And then they surrendered because they wouldn't surrender after Hiroshima, even though what was it? Stalin was going to come in with the Russians. He was going to knock them for a loop, right?
Well, Stalin, we won't talk about Stalin right now.
What do you recollect about Stalin?
Because Stalin, you never know what he was going to do. He was our ally, but they were our ally at that point. There was always nobody was sure what the Russians were going to do on the other side of China, you know.
Now you're a 90-year-old guy, your 91st year of living on this earth. What are your reflections on the fact that it seems like man has warred from the beginning of time? Nothing much has changed except the weaponry.
World War II was a war of survival for us. I know as a kid, I was only a kid.
18 years of age, right?
And everybody that was in the service thought, well, this will be the last war we'll have, right? It doesn't seem like it has worked that way. It's just flare-ups all over, still going on all over the world.
Finally, Uncle Jack, how's your faith?
My faith?
Your faith in the Lord. What do you think he thinks about all this maiming and murdering and raping and pillaging and the pride of man, the arrogance of wanting power, the semblance of power? But in fact, in the end, nobody has power but God himself.
I don't think I can answer that question. God gave man, created with free will,
What is it with Mondays and audiologists?
Thanks for serving. Thanks for serving. 18 years ago.
Call Bobby. Streetman.
Which one? Which phone number for Bobby Street? Calling Bobby Streetman. Mobile.
Hey, Bobby, it's Rhett. You don't have to call me back. Maybe you could just text me, wondering when the new billboard would be up. Thank you.
Given ammunition because you really didn't know what was going to happen, you know? Yeah, because you were invaders, right? We weren't sure exactly how they were going to take to us coming in, you know, like I said. Well, they were scared of you too. I mean, you're the Americans. They were, yeah. And, they really, you know, there's a natural harbor, and because it was all armed, the whole harbor around it was weapons. And after a while, after we were there a little while, we had no place to stay. We slept out on the dock.
Hi, this is Ken. I'm not available right now, so leave a message and I'll call you back.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
772-473-7777, returning your call. When I was out of town, we spoke briefly, and I'm back in town and wanted to talk to you, meet with you, and get to know each other. It's Rhett Palmer. 772-473-7777. It's Monday at about 11:30.
I just returned your call, but today is Chuck's birthday. I'm not too sure how old he is. I think it's the big 60.